The security cameras would later show the exact moment Victoria Pierce's world shattered, 8:47 p.m., when she turned around at the Christmas carousel and her daughter was gone. What they wouldn't show was the broke single father across the park who just spent his last $70 on magic, or that in 3 minutes, his kindness would make him look like a predator. By the time their worlds collided under the twinkling lights, one child would be safe, one woman would be screaming kidnapper, and one man would realize that doing the right thing might cost him everything. This is the story of how a lost little girl at a Portland amusement park brought together two families who'd forgotten what home felt like. If you're watching from anywhere in the world, drop your city in the comments below and hit that like button. I want to see how far this story travels. Now let's begin. The carousel music was too cheerful for how Noah Brooks actually felt. He stood with his hands shoved deep in his jacket pockets, watching his daughter Mia's face light up with each rotation, and tried not to calculate how many meals he'd just traded for this moment. $73. Tickets, parking, 2 hot chocolates that were mostly foam, and a light-up wand Mia had held like a treasure since the moment they'd walked through the gates. $73 that should have gone toward groceries, or next month's electricity, or the slow leak in his car's tire that he'd been ignoring for 2 weeks. But God, the way she smiled. "Daddy, look!" Mia called out as her painted horse rose on its brass pole, her small hand waving frantically. "I'm flying!" Noah waved back, forcing brightness into his face that he didn't feel in his bones. "I see you, sweetheart. You're the highest one up there." 7 years old, and she still believed him when he said things like that. Still trusted that her father could make the world magical even when it was falling apart. Even when her mother had been gone for 8 months and the empty chair at their kitchen table got heavier every single day. The December air bit at Noah's face, sharp and relentless. Portland winters weren't the coldest in the country, but they had a damp chill that worked its way into your joints and stayed there. Around him, families bundled in expensive coats moved like schools of fish, flowing from the carousel to the ice skating rink to the enormous Christmas tree that dominated the center of the park. Every single person looked warm, fed, secure. Noah pulled his jacket tighter. It was the same one he'd worn for 4 years, olive green canvas with a broken zipper he'd fixed with a safety pin. Mia's coat was new, relatively speaking. He'd found it at the Goodwill 3 weeks ago, purple with fake fur around the hood. She'd wanted it so badly her eyes had gone wide. And he'd bought it even though it meant eating ramen for dinner 5 nights straight. That's what you did. When you were a parent. When you were all your kid had left. "Next rider, step right up." The carousel operator, a college-aged kid with a Santa hat and a bored expression, gestured to the crowd. The music changed to a tinny version of Silver Bells as the platform slowed. Mia's horse descended smoothly, and she hopped off with the unselfconscious grace of childhood, running straight into Noah's arms. "That was amazing." She buried her cold nose against his neck. "Can I go again?" Noah's chest tightened. "How about we walk around a little first? See the lights?" "Okay." She grabbed his hand, already forgetting the carousel, already pulled toward the next bright thing. That's how kids were. They lived in the moment you gave them, trusting you'd give them another and another forever. They wandered deeper into the park, past the hot pretzel stand that smelled like butter and salt, past the ice skating rink where teenagers stumbled and laughed, past the craft stations where children made ornaments under heat lamps. Everywhere Noah looked, he saw parents spending money, casually, easily, like it was nothing. A father bought his son a $20 stuffed reindeer without checking his wallet. A mother handed her daughter a credit card at the face painting booth. Noah felt invisible, not in a bad way, just transparent, like he was watching life through glass. "Daddy, can we get our picture with Santa?" Mia tugged his hand toward an elaborate setup where a professional Santa sat on a throne surrounded by fake snow and real evergreen trees. Noah glanced at the sign. "Photos with Santa, $35 for digital package." "Maybe next year, sweetheart," he said gently. "Santa's probably really tired right now." Mia looked up at him with those dark eyes she'd inherited from her mother, Sarah's eyes, wide and trusting and full of hope that the world was good. "That's okay. We can just wave at him." Something in Noah's throat went tight. "Yeah, we can wave." They walked past Santa's village, and Mia waved solemnly. The Santa, who was actually pretty good, with a real white beard and genuine warmth in his face, waved back and called out, "Merry Christmas, young lady!" Mia beamed like she'd received a blessing. They were heading toward the light display where thousands of bulbs had been strung into tunnels and archways when Noah felt someone slam into his legs. Hard. He stumbled, catching himself, looking down in surprise. A little girl, maybe 5 or 6 years old, had crashed into him and was now gripping his jeans with both hands, her face pressed against his knees. She was sobbing. Not the performative crying of a child who wanted attention, but the raw, hiccuping gasps of real terror. Noah froze. Around him, people walked past, barely glancing over. The crowd absorbed everything here: noise, movement, tears. "Hey," Noah said softly, crouching down to the girl's level. "Hey, it's okay. Are you hurt?" The girl shook her head violently, unable to speak through her crying. She was dressed in a coat that probably cost more than Noah's monthly rent, navy blue wool with pearl buttons, spotless except for where her tears had dampened the collar. Her hair was in 2 perfect braids tied with velvet ribbons. Mia knelt beside Noah, her face serious with concern. "What's wrong?" she asked the girl in that gentle voice she used with scared animals. I can't," the girl gasped. "I can't find my mama." Noah's stomach dropped. Lost kid. Every parent's nightmare. He looked around quickly, scanning for someone who looked panicked, someone searching, but the crowd was just moving, laughing, existing. No one seemed to notice that a terrified child was falling apart in the middle of the pathway. "Okay," Noah said, keeping his voice calm and steady. "Okay, that's scary, but we're going to help you. What's your name?" "Chloe," the girl whispered. "Chloe. That's a pretty name." Noah glanced up at Mia, who was watching him with absolute faith that her father would fix this. "Chloe, I'm Noah, and this is my daughter Mia. We're going to help you find your mama, okay? But I need you to take some deep breaths first. Can you do that?" Chloe nodded, trying to gulp air between sobs. "Good. That's really good." Noah looked around again, more carefully this time. Where was security? Where were the park staff? He spotted a teenager in a staff jacket 20 feet away, focused on cleaning up spilled popcorn. "Mia, stay right here with Chloe. Don't move. I'll be right back." He jogged over to the staff member, a lanky kid who looked up with the wary expression of someone who knew they were about to get a complaint. "Hey, there's a lost little girl over there," Noah said, pointing. "She can't find her mother. Is there a protocol for this?" The kid's eyes went wide. "Oh, man. Yeah. You should take her to guest services. That's by the main entrance. Can you radio someone? Get security involved?" The kid patted his pockets. "I don't have my radio. I left it at the break room, but guest services will handle it. Just go to the main gate." Noah wanted to argue, wanted to demand this kid do something useful, but Chloe was still crying and Mia was standing alone with her. "Fine, thanks." He hurried back to the girls. Mia had somehow gotten Chloe to sit down on a nearby bench and was telling her about their cat, Mr. Whiskers, who was super fluffy and only has 3 legs but can still jump really high. "Chloe," Noah said gently, kneeling in front of her again, "we're going to take you to guest services. That's where your mama will go to find you. But I need to know, do you remember what your mama looks like? What she's wearing?" Chloe hiccuped. She has dark hair, like mine, and a long black coat, and she was holding her phone." That described about 200 women in this park. Noah forced a smile. "That's great. That helps. Okay, can you walk? Or do you want me to carry you?" "I can walk," Chloe whispered. But the moment they started moving, she grabbed Noah's hand with a grip that surprised him, desperate and trusting at the same time. Mia took his other hand, and the 3 of them made their way through the crowd like a small, fragile unit. The walk to guest services felt endless. Every time Noah glanced down, Chloe was scanning the crowd with huge, wet eyes, searching for her mother. And every time she didn't find her, a fresh wave of tears would come. "It's okay," Mia kept saying, patting Chloe's shoulder. "My daddy finds everything. He found my stuffed bunny when I lost it at the grocery store. He'll find your mama." Noah's heart twisted. The grocery store. That had been easy. He'd just retraced their steps. This was different. This was chaos. Guest services was a small building near the entrance gates, marked with a cheerful sign that promised, "We're here to help." Inside, it was pandemonium. At least 15 people crowded the small space, families trying to retrieve lost items, someone arguing about a refund, a mother demanding to speak to a manager about the wait times for Santa photos. Behind the counter, 2 staff members looked like they were drowning. Noah approached the younger one, a woman in her 20s with a name tag that read Jenna. She glanced up, saw Chloe's tear-stained face, and her expression shifted into professional concern. "Lost child?" "Yes, this is Chloe. She can't find her mother. Dark hair, black coat, probably carrying a phone." Jenna's mouth tightened. "That's not a lot to go on. Did she say what area she was in when they got separated?" Chloe shook her head, crying again. "Okay." Jenna grabbed a clipboard. "We'll need to fill out a report. Sir, are you family?" "No, I just found her. She ran into me near the carousel." "Right, okay. And you are?" "Noah Brooks." Jenna scribbled something down. "We'll make an announcement over the PA system. Mom will probably hear it and come right here. In the meantime, you can wait in the seating area." "An announcement?" Noah interrupted. "That's it? There's got to be more you can do. Check the cameras, send staff to search." "Sir, we have protocols. The announcement is the first step. Most parents find their kids within 10 minutes. "And what if 10 minutes isn't fast enough? What if her mom thinks someone took her?" Jenna's face softened. "I understand your concern, but we have limited staff tonight. The announcement is the fastest way to reunite them." Noah wanted to argue, but Chloe was tugging on his hand again, her small voice breaking. "I want my mama." He crouched down. "I know, sweetheart. We're doing everything we can." The PA system crackled to life, and a bored voice echoed across the park. "Attention guests, we have a lost child at guest services. If you are missing a young girl in a blue coat, please report to guest services immediately. Thank you." Chloe's coat was navy, not blue, but close enough. Noah listened to the announcement repeat twice, then fade into the background noise of the park. And then they waited. 5 minutes passed. Then 10. Chloe's tears had slowed, but she hadn't let go of Noah's hand. Mia sat beside her on the bench, offering her the light-up wand to play with, and somehow that small gesture made Chloe smile, just a little. "You're really nice," Chloe whispered to Mia. "You're nice too," Mia said seriously. "When we find your mama, maybe we can be friends." Noah's chest ached. His daughter, who'd lost so much, still had enough kindness left to give it away. 15 minutes, 20. The crowd in guest services was thinning, but no frantic mother had appeared. Jenna kept glancing over at them, her expression more worried now. "This isn't working," Noah said quietly to Mia. If her mom was nearby, she would have heard the announcement. "So what do we do?" Mia asked. Noah thought fast. If he were the mother, if he'd lost Mia in a place like this, where would he go? Not guest services. He'd be running through the park, screaming her name, checking every corner. And if he finally thought to check guest services and she wasn't there, he stood up. "Jenna, we're not going to wait here." Jenna looked alarmed. "Sir, you need to stay put. That's the protocol." "The protocol isn't working. Her mom's out there panicking. We're going somewhere visible, somewhere obvious. You can't just leave with her." "I'm not leaving the park. I'm going to the carousel. It's central. It's lit up. Everyone passes by it. If her mom is searching, she'll go there eventually. And if she comes here first, you tell her exactly where we are." Jenna hesitated, then nodded slowly. "Okay, but if you're not back in 30 minutes, I'm calling security." "Fine. Call them now if you want. Just tell them we're trying to help." He took Chloe's hand again, and the 3 of them left guest services and headed back into the heart of the park. The carousel was exactly where they'd left it, spinning endlessly, the painted horses rising and falling to the same cheerful music. Noah found a spot right beside it, close to the entrance where everyone could see them. He lifted Chloe onto his shoulders. She was light, maybe 40 pounds, and she gasped in surprise. "What are you doing?" she asked. "Making you taller," Noah said, "so your mama can see you easier. You keep looking for her, okay? Tell me if you see anyone who looks like her." "Okay," Chloe whispered. Mia stood beside him, holding the light-up wand high like a beacon. "We'll find her," she said confidently. "I know we will." Noah hoped she was right. The minutes dragged. People streamed past, couples holding hands, families with strollers, teenagers in groups. Some glanced at Noah with curiosity. A few smiled at Chloe. But no one stopped. No one asked if everything was okay. It was strange, Noah thought, how you could be surrounded by people and still feel completely alone. "Daddy, look," Mia said suddenly, pointing. "There's a lady running." Noah turned. A woman in a long black coat was moving through the crowd. Not quite running, but walking fast, her head swiveling left and right. She had dark hair pulled into a tight bun, and even from a distance, Noah could see the tension in her shoulders. "Chloe," he said carefully, "is that your mama?" Chloe looked. For a long second, she was silent. Then she gasped. "Mama!" She started waving frantically, and Noah moved toward the woman, keeping Chloe on his shoulders so she'd be visible. Ma'am, over here!" The woman's head snapped toward them. Her eyes locked on Chloe, and her entire face transformed. Relief, joy, and then something darker, something sharp. She broke into a run. Noah set Chloe down gently, expecting the mother to drop to her knees and pull her daughter into her arms, expecting tears and gratitude and the kind of reunion that made everything worth it. Instead, the woman grabbed Chloe and yanked her backward, putting herself between the child and Noah. Her eyes were wild, her voice a whip crack. "Get away from her!" Noah froze. "What? No, I said get away." The woman's voice rose, loud enough that people nearby stopped and turned. "Security! Someone call security!" Noah's heart slammed against his ribs. "Ma'am, you don't understand. I understand perfectly." And the woman pulled out her phone with shaking hands, holding it up like a weapon. "You took my daughter. I didn't take her." Noah's voice came out louder than he meant, panic sharpening his words. "She was lost. She ran into me. I was helping her find you." "Helping?" The woman's laugh was brittle, edged with hysteria. "You had her on your shoulders. You were parading her around like, 'Mama, no!'" Chloe was crying again, tugging on her mother's coat. "He helped me. I was scared and he helped me." But the woman wasn't listening. She was looking at Noah, really looking at him. And he saw exactly what she saw. A man in a worn jacket, with a safety pin holding it closed, unshaven, tired, standing too close to her child, dangerous. The crowd was gathering now. Phones were coming out. Noah could see it happening in slow motion, the story being written in real time, the assumption solidifying into fact. Strange man, expensive coat on the child. She's crying. He must have done something. "Ma'am, please," Noah said, forcing his voice to stay calm even though his pulse was roaring in his ears. "Please just listen. Your daughter got separated from you. She found me near the carousel. She was terrified. I took her to guest services, but they said to wait and—" "Guest services?" The woman's eyes narrowed. "If you took her to guest services, why is she here?" "Because the announcement didn't work. Because I thought you'd be searching, and this is the most visible place in the park. Or because you were trying to leave with her." "No." Noah's hands were shaking now. He shoved them into his pockets so no one would see. "No, that's not what happened." Security arrived then, 2 guards in bright yellow jackets pushing through the crowd. One of them, a broad-shouldered man with a crew cut, stepped between Noah and the woman. "What's going on here?" The woman spoke first, her voice trembling but clear. "This man took my daughter. I've been searching for 20 minutes, and I find him here holding her, refusing to let her go." "That's not true." Noah's voice cracked. "I was helping her." The guard looked at Noah with flat, professional suspicion. "Sir, I'm going to need you to step back." "I didn't do anything wrong. Step back. Now." Noah took 3 steps backward, his hands still in his pockets because he didn't trust himself not to reach for Mia, who was standing frozen beside him, her light-up wand clutched to her chest. "Daddy?" Mia's voice was small and scared. "What's happening?" "It's okay, sweetheart," Noah said, even though it wasn't. Even though the crowd was staring and someone was definitely filming, and this was about to become something he couldn't take back. The second security guard, a younger woman with sharp eyes, crouched in front of Chloe. "Honey, Can you tell me what happened? Did this man hurt you? No. Chloe shook her head hard. He helped me. I was lost and he helped me find Mama. The guard glanced up at her partner. Something unspoken passed between them. The woman, Chloe's mother, was staring at her daughter now, her face pale. Chloe, sweetheart, are you sure? You can tell me the truth. Did he scare you? Did he try to take you anywhere? No, Mama. He was nice. He and Mia stayed with me. They were taking me to find you. The silence that followed was excruciating. The first guard turned to Noah, his expression still wary but less hostile. Is that accurate, sir? Yes. Noah's voice came out rough. That's exactly what happened. She ran into me. She was crying. I took her to guest services, they made an announcement, and when no one came, I brought her here because it's visible. That's it. That's all I did. The guard studied him for a long moment. Then he looked at the mother. Ma'am, do you want to press charges? The woman's mouth opened, closed. She looked at Chloe, then at Noah, then at the crowd that was still watching with hungry eyes. She swallowed hard. I don't know. Mama, he didn't do anything bad. Chloe was crying again, her voice desperate. Please don't be mad at him. The woman closed her eyes, took a breath. When she opened them again, something had shifted, the razor edge of panic dulling into exhaustion. No, she said quietly. No charges. The guard nodded. All right, but I'm going to need statements from both of you. Ma'am, if you'll come with me. Wait. The woman's voice stopped everyone. She was looking at Noah now, really looking, and he saw the exact moment she understood what she'd almost done. I'm sorry. I thought. You thought I was a predator. Noah's voice was flat. I know what you thought. I was terrified. My daughter was missing. I saw you with her and you assumed the worst. Noah glanced at Mia, who was still clutching her wand, her eyes huge. I get it. You were protecting your kid. But so was I. The woman flinched. I'm sorry, she said again, softer this time. Noah didn't respond. He just took Mia's hand and started to walk away. Sir, wait, the guard called. We still need your statement. Noah stopped. Turned. You want a statement? Fine. I'm a single dad. I brought my daughter here because I promised her the holidays would feel magical, even though we're broke and her mom's gone. Your lost kid ran into me, and I did what any decent person would do. I helped her. And for that, I got accused of kidnapping in front of my 7-year-old. There's your statement. He didn't wait for a response. He just walked, holding Mia's hand tight, threading through the crowd that parted around them like they were contagious. They made it halfway to the exit before Mia spoke. Daddy, why was that lady so mad? Noah's throat was too tight to answer right away. He led them to a bench away from the crowds, away from the lights, and sat down heavily. She wasn't mad, sweetheart. She was scared. But you were helping. I know. Noah pulled Mia into his lap, wrapping his arms around her. Sometimes people get so scared they can't see what's really happening. It's not your fault. It's not even really her fault. It's just hard. Mia was quiet for a minute. Then, are we in trouble? No, baby, we're not in trouble. Is Chloe okay? Yeah, she's with her mama now. She's safe. Good. Mia leaned her head against his chest. I liked her. She was sad, but then she got happy when we helped her. Noah kissed the top of Mia's head, breathing in the strawberry scent of her shampoo. His hands were still shaking. His heart was still racing. But Mia was here, warm and solid and trusting, and that was enough. You were really brave tonight, he whispered. I'm proud of you. I didn't do anything. You were kind. That's everything. They sat there for a while, watching the crowds move past, listening to the distant carousel music. Noah thought about leaving, just getting in the car and driving home and pretending this night had never happened. But Mia had been looking forward to this for weeks. He'd promised her magic, and he wasn't going to let someone else's fear steal that from her. You know what? He said finally. We still haven't seen the light tunnels. Mia perked up. Really? We can still go? Yeah. We came here for you, and that's what we're going to do. They walked hand in hand toward the far end of the park, where strings of lights had been woven into archways and tunnels that glowed in every color imaginable. Mia gasped when she saw them, running ahead and spinning in circles under the blue and purple and gold. Noah followed more slowly, his mind still churning. He kept thinking about the woman's face, the terror in it, yes, but also the certainty. The way she'd looked at him and seen a threat instead of a person. The way the crowd had turned on him without knowing anything except what it looked like. He thought about what could have happened if Chloe hadn't spoken up, if the guards had been less reasonable, if someone in the crowd had decided to be a hero. He thought about how fragile everything was. "Daddy, come on!" Mia called, waving from inside a tunnel of golden lights. Noah smiled and jogged to catch up with her, pushing the dark thoughts away. Tonight was about Mia, about keeping his promise, about making sure his daughter still believed the world was good, even when he wasn't sure he believed it himself. They spent another hour in the park, riding the carousel one more time, getting overpriced hot chocolate that Mia declared was the best ever, and taking a dozen pictures with Noah's cracked phone. By the time they left, Mia was half asleep on his shoulder, the light-up wand dangling from her hand. Noah carried her to the car, buckled her into her booster seat, and drove home through the quiet Portland streets. The radio played Christmas songs. Mia snored softly in the back. Everything was peaceful. But Noah's mind wouldn't stop replaying the moment when the woman had grabbed Chloe and looked at him like he was a monster. He wondered if she'd go home tonight and tell people about the man who'd tried to take her daughter. If she'd convince herself that's what had really happened, because the alternative, that she'd been wrong, was too uncomfortable to live with. He wondered if somewhere, right now, there was a video of him circulating online with a caption like, "Creep caught with missing child." He wondered how you were supposed to teach your kid to help people when helping people could destroy you. When they got home, Noah carried Mia inside and tucked her into bed without waking her. He pulled the blanket up to her chin, kissed her forehead, and whispered, "I love you, baby girl." Then he went to the kitchen, poured himself a glass of water, and sat in the dark. His phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. He almost didn't open it, but curiosity won. The message read, "This is Victoria Pierce. I got your number from Park Security. I need to speak with you, please. I owe you more than an apology." Noah stared at the screen for a long time. Then, slowly, he typed back, "There's nothing to say." The response came immediately. "There's everything to say. And I'm not going to stop until you let me say it." Noah set the phone down and closed his eyes. Outside, the December wind rattled the windows. Inside, his daughter slept safe and sound, dreaming of painted horses and lights that turned the world golden. And somewhere across the city, a woman he'd never wanted to meet again was typing another message he didn't want to read. The night wasn't over. It was just beginning. Noah didn't sleep that night. He lay in bed staring at the ceiling, watching shadows from the streetlight outside crawl across the plaster, his mind replaying the scene at the park in an endless loop. The woman's face, the crowd's stares, Mia's small, confused voice asking if they were in trouble. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw phones pointed at him, recording, judging, turning a moment of kindness into evidence of something sinister. His phone sat on the nightstand, dark and silent now. He'd turned off notifications after the third message from Victoria Pierce, each one more insistent than the last. He didn't want her apology, didn't want her explanation or her gratitude or whatever she thought she owed him. He wanted to forget the whole thing had happened, but his brain wouldn't cooperate. Around 3 a.m, he gave up on sleep and padded into the kitchen to make coffee. The apartment was small, 2 bedrooms, a living room barely big enough for a couch and TV, a kitchen where you couldn't open the fridge and the oven at the same time. But it was theirs. He and Mia. After Sarah died, he'd had to leave their house, the one with the backyard and the garden she'd loved. This place was what he could afford on a janitor's salary. It wasn't much, but it was clean and safe and within walking distance of Mia's school. He sat at the kitchen table with his coffee, looking at the drawings Mia had taped to the refrigerator. Stick figures holding hands, a house with a crooked chimney, a cat with 3 legs and a smile that took up half its face. His daughter saw the world in primary colors and happy endings, and he'd do anything to keep it that way. His phone buzzed again. Noah grabbed it, ready to block the number, but the message wasn't from Victoria Pierce. It was from his boss at the office building where he worked nights. Need you to cover Mike's shift tomorrow, 6 p.m. to 2 a.m., time and a half. Noah's finger hovered over the keyboard. Tomorrow was Saturday. He'd promised Mia they'd decorate their apartment for Christmas, put up the tree he'd bought from the clearance lot, string the lights he'd found at the dollar store, make it feel like a home instead of just a place to sleep. But time and a half meant an extra $100, maybe more. That was groceries for 2 weeks. That was Mia's school supplies. That was the tire he desperately needed to replace. He typed back, "I'll take it." Then he set the phone down and pressed his palms against his eyes, hard enough to see stars. The sun came up gray and cold, typical Portland December. Mia woke at 7:30, stumbling into the kitchen in her pajamas with her hair sticking up in every direction. "Morning, Daddy?" "Morning, sweetheart?" Noah poured her a bowl of cereal, the generic brand that came in a bag instead of a box. "How'd you sleep?" "Good. I had a dream about the carousel." She climbed into her chair and started eating, her feet swinging under the table. "The horses came alive and we got to ride them to the North Pole." "That sounds amazing." "It was. You were there too, and Mr. Whiskers and Chloe." Noah's chest tightened at the name. "Yeah? Yeah, she was really nice. Do you think we'll see her again?" "I don't know, baby. Probably not." Mia considered this while chewing. "That's sad. I wanted to be her friend. Sometimes we help people, and then they go back to their own lives. That's okay. We still did a good thing." "I know." Mia swallowed and looked up at him with those serious dark eyes. "Daddy, why did Chloe's mama think you were bad?" There it was, the question he'd been dreading. Noah sat down across from her, choosing his words carefully. "She didn't think I was bad exactly. She just didn't know me, and when you don't know someone and you're scared, sometimes your brain tells you stories that aren't true. It's like, remember when you thought there was a monster in your closet? But there wasn't. Right. But it felt real when you were scared. That's what happened to Chloe's mama. She was so scared about losing Chloe that she saw a monster where there wasn't one." Mia nodded slowly. "Did it make you sad?" "A little bit, but I'm okay." "Good." She went back to her cereal, the matter apparently settled in her mind. Kids were like that. They could process trauma and move on in ways adults never could. Noah envied her that resilience. They spent the morning doing laundry at the apartment complex's shared machines, folding clothes while Mia chattered about school and her friends and the Christmas pageant she was going to be in. Noah listened with half his attention, the other half stuck on the fact that he'd have to tell her about the shift change, about missing their decorating day. He waited until after lunch when they were sitting on the couch and Mia was coloring. "Hey, sweetheart, I need to talk to you about something." Mia looked up, crayon poised over a picture of a snowman. "I have to work tonight. My boss needs me to cover someone's shift." Her face fell. "But we were going to decorate." "I know, I'm sorry. We'll do it tomorrow. I promise." "You always have to work." It came out small and sad, without accusation, which somehow made it worse. "I know, but this shift pays extra, and that means I can get you something special for Christmas." Mia set down her crayon. "I don't want something special. I want you to be home." Noah pulled her into his lap, wrapping his arms around her. "I want that too, more than anything. But right now I have to work so we can pay for our home and our food and everything we need. You understand that, right?" She nodded against his chest, but she didn't say anything else. Noah held her until she wriggled free and went back to coloring, and he tried not to think about how many moments like this he was missing, how many times he'd chosen a paycheck over a memory, how Sarah would have known what to say to make it okay. He called Mrs. Chen, the elderly woman who lived 2 doors down and watched Mia when he worked nights. She agreed immediately, she always did. Mrs. Chen had lost her own husband 5 years ago and treated Mia like the grandchild she'd never had. At 5:30, Noah kissed Mia goodbye and headed to work. The office building was downtown, 32 floors of glass and steel that housed a tech company, a law firm, and a handful of startups. Noah's job was simple: clean the offices after everyone went home, empty trash cans, vacuum carpets, wipe down desks and counters, scrub toilets. The kind of work that made you invisible. People looked right through you when you wore a maintenance uniform. He didn't mind. Invisible was safe. He was on the 14th floor, emptying a conference room trash can, when his phone buzzed. He pulled it out, expecting a text from Mrs. Chen. It was Victoria Pierce again. I know you don't want to hear from me, but I need to make this right. Please give me one chance to explain, to apologize properly. You and your daughter deserve that much. Noah stared at the message for a long moment. Then he typed, You apologized at the park. That's enough. The response came within seconds. It's not. I humiliated you in front of your child, in front of strangers. An apology in a crowd while security was standing over us isn't enough. Please, let me try again. Noah's jaw clenched. He wanted to tell her to leave him alone, to let it go, to accept that some things couldn't be fixed with words. But there was something in her persistence that felt different from entitlement. It felt like actual remorse. He typed, What do you want from me? 30 minutes, that's all. Coffee, or just a phone call if you prefer. I need to explain what happened, and I need you to understand that I know I was wrong. I already know you were wrong. I don't need to hear it again. Then hear why, please. I promise I won't take more than half an hour of your time. Noah leaned against the conference table, looking out the floor-to-ceiling windows at the Portland skyline. The city glittered in the dark, thousands of windows lit up with people living their lives, completely unaware of each other. He thought about Mia, home with Mrs. Chen, probably already in her pajamas. He thought about the video that might or might not be circulating online. He thought about how tired he was of carrying anger that served no purpose. Fine. Tomorrow, 2 p.m. There's a coffee shop on Burnside called The Daily Grind. You can buy me a coffee and say whatever you need to say, then we're done. Thank you. I'll be there. And Noah, thank you for giving me this chance. He pocketed his phone without responding and went back to work, trying not to wonder if he'd just made a mistake. The next day dawned clear and cold, the kind of winter morning where your breath crystallized in the air. Noah got Mia up early, made her pancakes from a mix that was mostly water, and helped her hang construction paper chains in the living room. They couldn't afford ornaments for the tree yet, but Mia didn't seem to care. She just kept stepping back and clapping her hands, delighted with every crooked loop of paper. It's beautiful, Daddy. It really is, sweetheart. At 1:30, Noah told Mia he had to run an errand and asked Mrs. Chen to watch her for an hour. He drove to the Daily Grind, a hipster coffee shop with Edison bulbs and reclaimed wood tables, and arrived 10 minutes early. He ordered a black coffee, the cheapest thing on the menu, and sat in the back corner watching the door. Victoria Pierce walked in at exactly 2 o'clock. She looked different than she had at the park. Less frantic, more composed. Her dark hair was down instead of pulled back, and she wore a cream-colored sweater and jeans that probably cost more than Noah made in a month. But her eyes were the same, sharp and assessing, the kind of eyes that missed nothing. She saw him immediately and walked over, her expression cautious. Noah, thank you for meeting me. You've got 30 minutes. He didn't stand up or offer his hand. Victoria sat down across from him, setting her purse on the empty chair. Can I get you another coffee? Something to eat? I'm fine. Okay. She folded her hands on the table, and Noah noticed they were shaking slightly. I don't know where to start. Start with why you thought I was kidnapping your daughter. Victoria flinched, but she didn't look away. I didn't think. That's the problem. I panicked. Chloe and I were standing near the Christmas tree, and I turned around for maybe 10 seconds to answer a call from my assistant. When I looked back, she was gone. Just gone. And all I could think about were the news stories, the headlines, children who disappear in crowds and never come home. So you assumed the worst. Yes. I ran through the park looking for her, asking everyone if they'd seen a little girl in a blue coat. Navy, Noah interrupted. Her coat was navy. What? The announcement said blue. Her coat was navy. If you'd been paying attention instead of on your phone, I know, Victoria's voice cracked. I know, you're right, I was distracted. I let her out of my sight. And then when I finally found her, when I saw her on a stranger's shoulders, smiling, I broke. All I could see was that she was with someone I didn't know, and I wasn't there, and something terrible could have happened. I didn't stop to think. I just reacted. Noah took a sip of his coffee. It had gone lukewarm. You reacted by calling me a kidnapper in front of my daughter. I know. And I'm sorry, not just for accusing you, but for what it must have done to Mia. How is she? She's fine. Kids are resilient. But you're not fine. Noah met her eyes. No, I'm not. Do you know what it's like to be looked at the way that crowd looked at me? To have people pull out their phones and start recording because they think you're a predator? I help people for a living, Ms. Pierce. I hold doors. I pick up things people drop. I give directions to tourists. And in one moment, you turned all of that into something ugly. Victoria's eyes were wet now, but she blinked the tears back. I know, and I can't undo it. All I can do is tell you that I was wrong. Completely, inexcusably wrong. You protected my daughter when I failed to. You stayed with her when most people would have walked away. You took her to guest services. You made her feel safe. And I repaid you by treating you like a criminal. Why? Noah leaned forward. Why didn't you just say thank you? Even after the security guards explained what happened, you couldn't look at me like I was a person. You looked at me like I was something you'd stepped in. Victoria was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was barely above a whisper. Because I was ashamed. Because I knew what I'd done, and I couldn't face it. It was easier to leave than to admit how badly I'd failed, both you and my daughter. That's honest, at least. I'm trying to be. I'm trying to understand how I could have been so blind. And I think part of it was that you didn't look like the kind of person I'm used to relying on. Noah's laugh was bitter. There it is. I don't mean it the way it sounds. You mean I looked poor, working class, not the kind of person who belongs in your world. Yes, Victoria didn't try to deny it. I saw your jacket, your shoes, the way you talked, and my brain made assumptions about who you were and what you might want. And that's on me. That's my bias, my prejudice, and I'm not going to insult you by pretending it was anything else. Noah sat back, surprised by her candor. Most people don't admit that. Most people don't see it, or they do and they justify it. I don't want to do either. Victoria reached into her purse and pulled out her phone, scrolling for a moment before turning it toward him. This is Chloe. The screen showed a little girl in pajamas sitting cross-legged on an enormous bed, holding a stuffed elephant. She was smiling, but her eyes looked sad. She hasn't stopped talking about Mia, Victoria said, about how kind she was, how she shared her light-up wand, how she told her stories about your cat. Chloe doesn't have many friends. She goes to a private school where the other children are more interested in who has the newest toy or the biggest house. She's lonely, and in the worst moment of her life, your daughter showed her what real kindness looks like. Noah looked at the photo, then at Victoria. What do you want from me? Forgiveness? I want to make amends, real ones. Not just an apology, but action. I don't want your money. I know, you made that clear at the park. But there are other ways to help. Chloe has a birthday party coming up next Saturday. I'd like to invite Mia. Let the girls spend some time together. Let Chloe have one friend who likes her for who she is, not what her mother can buy. Noah frowned. A birthday party at your house? Yes. Where's your house? West Hills. Of course it was. The West Hills were where Portland's elite lived. Sprawling estates with views of the city and security gates and the kind of wealth that made Noah's paycheck look like pocket change. Mia wouldn't fit in there. Maybe not with the other children, but she'd fit in with Chloe. And honestly, I think Chloe needs that more than anything else. Noah thought about Mia's face when she'd talked about Chloe. I wanted to be her friend. He thought about the construction paper chains in their apartment, the clearance tree, the dollar store lights. His daughter who gave kindness away like it was unlimited. What time? He asked. Victoria's expression softened with relief. 2:00. I'll text you the address. And Noah, thank you. For this, and for Friday night, and for being the kind of man who helps a scared child even when it costs him something. It's not supposed to cost anything. That's the problem. I know. And I'm going to try to do better. I promise. Noah finished his coffee and stood up. I'll think about the party, but I need you to understand something. Mia's been through enough. She lost her mother 8 months ago. She doesn't need someone else in her life who's going to let her down. Victoria stood as well, and for the first time, Noah saw something raw and real in her face. I lost my husband 2 years ago. Heart attack. He was 41. So I understand what it's like to raise a child alone and feel like you're failing every single day. I don't want to let Mia down, or you. I just want a chance to show my daughter what it looks like when people from different worlds treat each other with dignity. Noah studied her for a long moment. Then he nodded once and walked out. He sat in his car for 5 minutes before starting the engine, his hands gripping the steering wheel, his mind churning. He didn't trust Victoria Pierce. Didn't trust her world or her intentions or the way she'd looked at him like he was a project to be fixed. But he trusted Mia's instincts. And Mia had liked Chloe. His phone buzzed. A text from Victoria. Thank you again. I meant everything I said. Here's my address, 2847 Skyline Ridge Court. Please let me know if Mia can come. Noah didn't respond. He just drove home, where Mia was waiting with Mrs. Chen playing Go Fish at the kitchen table. Daddy! She jumped up and ran to him. Did you get the errand done? Yeah, sweetheart, all done. Good. Can we finish decorating now? Absolutely. They spent the rest of the afternoon hanging lights and arranging Mia's stuffed animals under the tree like a tiny audience. Mia talked non-stop, her voice bright and happy, and Noah let himself get lost in it. This was what mattered. Not Victoria Pierce or her guilt or her big house in the West Hills, just this, his daughter, safe and happy, believing the world was good. That night, after Mia was asleep, Noah sat on the couch with his laptop and did something he'd been avoiding. He Googled Victoria Pierce. The results were overwhelming. CEO of Pierce Industries, a tech company specializing in sustainable energy solutions. Net worth estimated at $1.2 billion. Widow of Marcus Pierce, philanthropist and venture capitalist. Board member of 3 charities. Featured in Forbes, Fortune, and Business Insider. Photos of her at galas and conferences, always impeccably dressed, always composed. Noah scrolled through images until he found one that made him stop. It was Victoria and Chloe at some kind of charity event, both dressed in formal gowns. Victoria was smiling at the camera, but Chloe was looking up at her mother with an expression Noah recognized, longing. The look of a child who desperately wanted her parents' attention and wasn't quite getting it. He closed the laptop and went to bed. The week passed in a blur of work and routine. Noah picked up 2 more extra shifts, which meant 2 more nights of Mrs. Chen putting Mia to bed. He hated it, but the money was necessary. The car's tire had finally given out completely, and the replacement cost $200 he didn't have. He put it on a credit card that was already close to maxed out and tried not to think about the interest. On Wednesday, Mia came home from school with a handmade invitation, construction paper folded in half, covered in glitter and stickers. Look what Chloe's mama sent. She handed it to Noah, beaming. It came to my classroom. Mrs. Davis said it was a special delivery. Noah opened it. Inside, in what was clearly Chloe's handwriting, please come to my birthday party. There will be cake and games and presents. I really, really, really want you to be there. Love, Chloe. Below that, in adult handwriting, we would be honored to have Mia join us. No gifts necessary, just her presence, Victoria. Mia was bouncing on her toes. Can I go, please? Chloe's my friend now. I have to go to her birthday. Noah looked at his daughter's hopeful face and knew he'd already lost this argument. Yeah, sweetheart. You can go. Mia shrieked and threw her arms around him. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I need to make her a card and maybe a bracelet. I can use the beads for my craft kit. Mia, the invitation says no gifts. But I want to give her something, please? Noah sighed. Okay, but nothing expensive, just something from the heart. I promise. Saturday arrived with unexpected sunshine, the kind of clear December day that felt like a gift. Noah dressed Mia in her best outfit, a navy dress from Target that she'd worn to her mother's funeral and hadn't fit quite right since she'd grown. He tried to smooth down her wild hair with gel, but it still stuck up in places. You look beautiful, he told her. You have to say that. You're my dad. I mean it. They drove to the West Hills, climbing winding roads that got progressively more expensive with every turn. The houses started at large and escalated to massive, sprawling estates with circular driveways and fountains and views that made Noah's chest tighten with something that wasn't quite envy, but wasn't far from it. Victoria's house was at the top of a private drive, hidden behind gates that opened automatically when Noah pulled up. The house itself was modern and enormous, all glass and steel and clean lines, perched on the hillside like it owned the mountain. Noah parked his beat-up sedan next to a row of luxury vehicles and immediately felt out of place. "Wow," Mia breathed. "It's like a castle." "It's just a house, sweetheart. A really big house." They walked to the front door, Mia clutching the handmade card and beaded bracelet she'd spent all week making. Before Noah could knock, the door swung open. Victoria stood there, dressed casually in black pants and a soft gray sweater, her hair pulled into a ponytail. She looked almost normal. "Mia, Noah, I'm so glad you came." Her smile seemed genuine. "Please, come in." They stepped into a foyer that was bigger than Noah's entire apartment. Marble floors, a chandelier that probably cost more than his car. Original artwork on the walls. "Mia!" Chloe appeared from somewhere deeper in the house, running toward them with her arms outstretched. She grabbed Mia in a hug that nearly knocked them both over. "You came!" "I made you something." Mia held out the card and bracelet shyly. Chloe opened the card, her face lighting up. "It's so pretty. Look, Mama, Mia made this for me." Victoria took the card, reading it carefully. Her eyes softened. "This is beautiful, Mia. Thank you. And this is for your wrist." Mia handed over the bracelet, plastic beads in pink and purple, strung on elastic thread. Chloe put it on immediately. "I love it. I'm never taking it off." "Never ever?" "Never ever ever." The girls ran off together, and Noah was left standing with Victoria in the cavernous foyer. "She worked on that all week," Noah said quietly. "I can tell." "It's perfect." Victoria gestured toward the back of the house. "The party's outside. There are about 12 other children, mostly from Chloe's school, and their parents are in the sitting room. You're welcome to join them, or there's a quieter space if you prefer. I'll stay outside. Keep an eye on Mia." "Of course." They walked through the house, past rooms that looked like they belonged in magazines, past windows that offered views of the entire city spread below, until they reached a back patio that had been transformed into a winter wonderland. White lights everywhere, tables covered in silver and blue decorations, a bounce house shaped like a castle, a face-painting station, a magician setting up near the pool. And in the middle of it all, children running and screaming and laughing, their parents standing in clusters with champagne glasses and careful smiles. Noah felt every single person turn to look at him. He was wearing his best jeans and a button-up shirt he'd ironed that morning. But next to these people in their designer casual wear, he might as well have been wearing his maintenance uniform. The women had jewelry that caught the light. The men had watches that probably cost 5 figures. Everyone looked comfortable, entitled, like they belonged in this world of excess. Noah shoved his hands in his pockets and stayed near the edge of the patio, watching Mia run with Chloe toward the bounce house. "You must be Noah." A man approached, tall, silver-haired, wearing a sweater that screamed Ivy League. "I'm Richard Hartwell. My daughter Sienna goes to school with Chloe." "Nice to meet you." "Victoria mentioned you'd be here. Said you helped Chloe when she got separated at that amusement park." Richard's smile was pleasant but assessing. "That was very kind of you. Anyone would have done the same." "I'm not sure that's true. Most people don't want to get involved these days." Richard sipped his champagne. "What do you do, Noah?" Here it was, the question that would define him in their eyes. "I'm a maintenance supervisor." It was a stretch. He was just a janitor, but Noah didn't feel like giving these people ammunition. "Ah, facilities management, important work. Where are you based?" "Downtown, mixed-use building." "Good for you." Richard's tone was the kind of patronizing that rich people thought sounded encouraging. "Well, enjoy the party. Help yourself to food and drinks. Everything's on the house." He laughed at his own joke and walked away. Noah watched him rejoin a group of parents, saw them glance in his direction, saw the slight smiles and knowing looks. He'd been assessed and categorized, filed away as Victoria's charity case. He was about to find an excuse to leave when Victoria appeared at his elbow with a plate of food. "You look like you could use this." "I'm fine." "Noah, You're standing alone at the edge of my party, looking like you'd rather be anywhere else. Take the food. It's just shrimp and crackers. Nothing fancy. You took the plate because refusing would have been more awkward. Your friends are very interested in me. They're not my friends. They're Chloe's classmates' parents. There's a difference. They think I'm your project. Victoria was quiet for a moment. Do you want the truth? Always. Some of them probably do think that. They see a single father in genes and they make assumptions. But I don't care what they think. I invited you because Chloe wanted Mia here. Everything else is noise. Noah looked at her. You really don't care? About their opinions? No. About you feeling uncomfortable in my home? Yes. Tell me what I can do to fix that. You can't. This, he gestured at the patio, the house, the people, isn't my world. I don't belong here. Neither do I, most days. Victoria's smile was sad. I grew up in a 2-bedroom apartment in Northeast Portland. My father was a mechanic. My mother cleaned houses. I built this, she gestured at the mansion, because I thought it would make me feel successful, but it just makes me feel alone. Noah studied her, surprised by the admission. Then why stay? Because it's what Chloe knows, and I can't take that away from her just because I'm uncomfortable. They stood in silence for a moment, watching the children play. Mia and Chloe had abandoned the bounce house and were now getting their faces painted, Mia choosing a butterfly, Chloe a rainbow. They're good together, Victoria said softly. Yeah, they are. Mia's good for Chloe. She doesn't care about any of this. Victoria gestured at the elaborate party setup. She just wants to play, to be a friend. Chloe needs that. What does Chloe need you for? The question came out sharper than Noah intended. Victoria flinched. That's fair, and the answer is, I'm trying to figure that out. I thought being a good mother meant providing everything. The best school, the best house, the best opportunities. But Chloe doesn't need more things. She needs me to be present, to actually see her. So be present. I'm trying, but it's hard when you've spent 2 years building walls to keep the grief out. Noah understood that better than he wanted to admit. It doesn't get easier. No, it doesn't. Victoria looked at him. But maybe it gets more bearable when you're not doing it alone. Before Noah could respond, a scream cut through the party noise, not playful, but genuinely frightened. Both Noah and Victoria spun toward the sound. Near the pool, where the magician was setting up, Chloe had somehow gotten separated from Mia and was backing away from a group of older boys who were laughing and tossing something between them. Chloe's beaded bracelet, the one Mia had made. Give it back! Chloe was crying, reaching for it. It's mine! It's ugly, one of the boys taunted, holding it high above his head. Why would you even wear this? Noah was moving before he consciously decided to. He crossed the patio in seconds, putting himself between Chloe and the boys. Give her the bracelet. His voice was calm but left no room for argument. The boy holding it, maybe 10 years old, with the kind of confidence that came from never being told no, looked up at Noah with surprise. Who are you? Someone who's telling you to give the bracelet back. Now. It's just a stupid now. Something in Noah's tone made the boy's bravado crumble. He dropped the bracelet into Noah's outstretched hand and stepped back. The other boys scattered. Noah crouched down and handed the bracelet to Chloe, who was sobbing. Here you go, sweetheart. It's safe. They were being mean, she hiccuped. I know, but they're gone now. Noah looked up as Mia ran over, her face painted like a butterfly. Are you okay? Mia grabbed Chloe's hand. Noah saved my bracelet. My daddy's really good at saving things. Victoria appeared, her face pale. What happened? Some kids were teasing her, Noah said, standing up. It's handled. Victoria looked at her daughter, then at Noah, and something shifted in her expression, something like understanding. The party continued, but Noah noticed Victoria stayed closer after that, watching Chloe more carefully, stepping in when the girls needed something instead of delegating to staff. And when the cake was brought out, an elaborate 3-tier creation with fondant decorations, Chloe insisted that Mia sit right next to her while everyone sang. As the afternoon wore down and parents started collecting their children, Noah found Victoria in the kitchen, alone, wrapping up leftover cake. Thank you, she said quietly, for what you did with those boys. It was nothing. It wasn't nothing to Chloe. You didn't hesitate. You just handled it. That's what you do when kids are involved. You show up. Victoria's hand stilled on the plastic wrap. I'm not very good at that yet. You were today. I watched you. She looked up, surprised. You stayed close. You paid attention. You saw what Chloe needed. Noah leaned against the counter. That's showing up? Victoria's eyes were wet again. I don't know how you do this alone. How you're everything Mia needs. I'm not everything she needs. I'm just everything she has. There's a difference. But you're enough. Some days I'm not sure about that. They stood in the quiet kitchen while the last families gathered their things outside, and Noah realized something had shifted between them. They weren't strangers anymore. They weren't even just acquaintances united by an incident at an amusement park. They were two people trying to figure out how to be enough for the children they loved. Noah, Victoria said as he was getting ready to leave with Mia. There's a charity gala next Friday. It's for the Children's Hospital. Very formal, very boring, but Chloe has to attend because I'm being honored. She's been dreading it for weeks, but if Mia came as Chloe's guest, maybe it would be less awful for her. Noah hesitated. A charity gala. In the West Hills. Downtown, actually, the Benson Hotel. And I know it's asking a lot, but Chloe would really love to have Mia there. I don't think we belong at something like that. You belong anywhere your daughter is welcomed, and she's very welcome. Noah looked out at Mia and Chloe, who were saying goodbye with the dramatic flair of children who'd just found their best friend. I'll think about it, he said finally. Victoria smiled. That's all I'm asking. As Noah and Mia drove home, his daughter chattering nonstop about the party and how Chloe's house was like a palace and how the magician had pulled a rabbit out of his hat, Noah's mind was somewhere else entirely. He was thinking about Victoria's face when she'd admitted she didn't know how to be present, about the way she'd looked at him when he'd handled the bracelet situation, about the quiet understanding that had passed between them in the kitchen. And he was thinking that maybe, just maybe, he and Mia weren't the only ones who'd been lonely for a long time. His phone buzzed at a red light, a text from Victoria. Thank you for coming today. It meant everything to Chloe. And to me. Noah didn't respond right away. He just drove home through the Portland streets, listening to his daughter's happiness, and let himself consider the possibility that the worst night of his life might have led to something he hadn't expected. Something like hope. Noah spent the next 3 days trying to convince himself that attending a charity gala was a terrible idea. He had a dozen reasons ready. He didn't own a suit. He couldn't afford a babysitter for the kind of event that would run past midnight. He'd be surrounded by Portland's elite, the same people who'd looked at him like a curiosity at Chloe's birthday party. Most importantly, he and Mia didn't belong in that world, and pretending otherwise would only set his daughter up for disappointment when reality came crashing back. But every time he opened his mouth to text Victoria and decline, he'd look at Mia's face and lose his nerve. She'd been different since the birthday party. Lighter, somehow. She sang while brushing her teeth. She drew pictures of her and Chloe as superheroes saving the world. She talked about her new friend constantly, weaving elaborate stories about adventures they'd have together. It was the first time since Sarah's death that Mia had looked genuinely happy for more than a few stolen moments. Noah couldn't take that away from her. Not yet. On Wednesday evening, he was emptying trash cans on the 23rd floor of his building when his phone rang. Victoria's name lit up the screen. He almost didn't answer, but something made him swipe to accept. Hello? Noah? Hi. I hope I'm not interrupting. Victoria's voice sounded strained, like she'd been holding her breath. Just working. What's up? I wanted to talk about Friday. The gala. I know you haven't given me an answer yet, and I don't want to pressure you, but I need to finalize the guest list, and I was hoping... Victoria. Noah set down the trash bag he'd been holding. I can't afford formal wear. I don't even own a tie. There was a pause. That's what you're worried about? Among other things, yeah. Noah, I can... If you're about to offer to buy me a suit, don't. I was going to say I can have something sent over. My late husband's tailor keeps pieces in various sizes for events like this. You'd be doing me a favor, actually. They're just sitting in storage otherwise. Noah closed his eyes. Even her charity came wrapped in justifications designed to preserve his pride. This is exactly what I'm talking about. You live in a world where you can just have suits delivered. I live in a world where I'm wearing my father's 20-year-old watch because I can't afford to replace it when it stops working. I know the worlds are different, but does that mean they can't overlap, even just for one night? It's not about one night. It's about what Mia starts to expect. She's 7 years old, Victoria. She doesn't understand that Chloe's life isn't normal, that most people don't have houses with pools and magicians at their birthday parties. I've worked really hard to make sure she appreciates what we have, and I'm worried that spending time in your world is going to make her resent ours. Victoria was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was softer. That's not what's happening. Mia isn't interested in the house or the party decorations. She's interested in Chloe, and Chloe is interested in having someone who likes her for who she is, not what she has. They're just two little girls who found each other. The rest is noise. Noah leaned against the wall, the fluorescent office lights humming above him. What if I'm not ready for this? For whatever this is becoming? Then tell me, I'll respect that. But Noah, I think you are ready. I think you're just scared, and I understand that because I'm scared too. I'm terrified that I'm going to mess this up, that I'm going to do or say something that drives you away, and Chloe will lose the first real friend she's ever had. But I'm trying anyway because the alternative is staying in our separate corners and pretending we didn't meet for a reason. You think we met for a reason? I think Chloe ran into you instead of the 100 other people in that park for a reason. I think you stayed when most people would have walked away for a reason. I think our daughters connected the way they did for a reason. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's just coincidence, but I'd like to find out. Noah rubbed his face with his free hand. He was tired, bone-deep tired from working double shifts and raising a child alone and trying to be everything Mia needed on a janitor's salary. But underneath the exhaustion was something else, something that felt dangerously like hope. Okay, he heard himself say. We'll come to the gala. Victoria's exhale was audible. Thank you. I'll have the suit delivered tomorrow. And Noah, thank you for trusting me with this. I'm not sure I do trust you yet, but I trust that you care about Chloe. That's enough for now. After they hung up, Noah finished his shift in a daze, his mind churning through scenarios of everything that could go wrong on Friday night. By the time he got home at 2 a.m, he'd convinced himself he'd made a mistake. But when he checked on Mia before bed and saw her sleeping peacefully with a drawing of her and Chloe clutched in one hand, he knew he couldn't back out. The suit arrived Thursday afternoon in a garment bag with a note. Marcus was about your height and build. I think this will work. If it doesn't fit, there's a tailor shop on 23rd that can do rush alterations. The owner owes me a favor. V. Noah unzipped the bag and pulled out a charcoal gray suit that probably cost more than 3 months of his rent. The fabric was softer than anything he'd ever touched. He tried on the jacket in his bedroom, and it fit perfectly. The pants needed to be hemmed by half an inch, but otherwise it could have been made for him. He looked at himself in the mirror, really looked, and barely recognized the man staring back. In this suit, he didn't look like a janitor. He looked like someone who belonged in Victoria's world. The thought was both thrilling and terrifying. Mia appeared in the doorway, her eyes going wide. Daddy, you look like a prince. Noah smiled despite himself. I don't know about that, sweetheart. You do. You look so fancy. She ran over and hugged his legs. Are we really going to the party with Chloe? We really are. But Mia, I need you to understand something. This party is going to be very different from what we're used to. There will be a lot of fancy people doing fancy things, and some of them might not be very nice. Why wouldn't they be nice? How did you explain classism to a 7-year-old? Sometimes people who have a lot of money forget that having money doesn't make you better than anyone else. They might look at us differently because we don't have as much as they do. Mia frowned. That's silly. You're the best daddy in the whole world. Money doesn't matter. Noah's chest tightened. You're right, baby. It doesn't. But I need you to remember that tomorrow night. No matter what happens, no matter what anyone says or how they look at us, you remember that we're just as good as anyone else in that room. Okay? Okay. Mia hugged him tighter. I'm excited to see Chloe. I know you are. And that's why we're going. Friday arrived with the kind of cold rain that made Portland feel like it was under a gray dome. Noah spent the day at work anxious and distracted, nearly knocking over a trash can on the 16th floor because he wasn't paying attention. His supervisor, a decent guy named Tom who'd always been fair to Noah, noticed something was off. "You good, Brooks?" "Yeah, just tired." "You sure? You seem somewhere else today." Noah hesitated. Tom was one of the few people at work who treated him like a person instead of part of the furniture. "I've got something tonight. Something kind of important. I'm just nervous about it." "Date?" Tom grinned. "No, charity event. My daughter's friend invited her, and I'm the +1. "Fancy. Well, knock 'em dead." Tom clapped him on the shoulder and walked away, and Noah appreciated that he didn't ask more questions. He left work early, got home by 4, and spent an hour getting ready. The suit fit perfectly after the quick tailoring job. He borrowed a tie from his neighbor, a retired accountant who seemed bemused by the request but didn't pry. He shaved carefully, trimmed his hair as best he could without a professional cut, and put on the only pair of dress shoes he owned. They were scuffed and old, but he'd polished them until they looked almost respectable. Mia's outfit had been more complicated. Victoria had offered to send something over, but Noah had refused. Instead, he'd taken Mia to the Goodwill and let her pick out a dress. She'd chosen a navy blue velvet one with a white collar, and it fit her perfectly. He'd bought her new tights and borrowed dress shoes from Mrs. Chen's granddaughter. When they were both ready, Noah looked at his daughter and felt his heart swell. She looked beautiful and happy, and exactly like herself, which was all that mattered. "Ready, sweetheart?" "Ready." They drove downtown through the rain, and Noah's anxiety ratcheted higher with every block. The Benson Hotel was one of Portland's landmarks, an elegant historic building that had been hosting the city's elite since 1913. Noah had walked past it 1,000 times, but never imagined walking through its doors. The valet parking area was packed with luxury cars. Noah pulled up in his beaten Honda Civic, and the young valet's expression flickered with something that might have been pity before he smoothed it into professional courtesy. "Good evening, sir. Attending the Children's Hospital Gala?" "Yeah." Noah handed over his keys, hyper-aware of the crack in the windshield and the duct tape holding the passenger side mirror in place. "Wonderful. The ballroom entrance is through the main lobby. Enjoy your evening." Noah took Mia's hand and walked into the hotel. The lobby was all marble and crystal chandeliers and polished wood. People in tuxedos and evening gowns moved through the space like they owned it. Noah felt every eye turned toward him, and Mia felt the assessment happening in real time. "Daddy, it's so pretty," Mia whispered. "It is. Come on, let's find Chloe." They followed the signs to the grand ballroom where a check-in table had been set up. A woman in a severe black dress looked up as they approached. "Name, please." "Noah Brooks and Mia Brooks. We're guests of Victoria Pierce." The woman's eyebrows rose fractionally as she scanned her list. "Ah, yes, here you are. Table 3. That's right up front near the stage." She handed him 2 name tags. "Cocktail hour is in the reception area to the left. Dinner service begins at 7. "Thank you." They walked into the reception area, and Noah's stomach dropped. The room was filled with at least 200 people, all of them dressed in outfits that probably cost more than his monthly salary. Waiters circulated with trays of champagne and hors d'oeuvres. A string quartet played in the corner. Everything gleamed, the people, the decorations, the jewelry that caught the light every time someone moved. Noah felt Mia's hand tighten in his. "It's okay," he murmured. "We're just here for Chloe, remember?" "Mia! Noah!" A small voice cut through the crowd, and suddenly Chloe was running toward them, dragging Victoria behind her. Chloe wore a cream-colored dress with a tulle skirt, and her hair had been curled into ringlets. But the biggest thing Noah noticed was her smile, genuine and unrehearsed and full of relief. "You came!" Chloe grabbed Mia in a hug that made both girls stumble. "Of course we came," Mia said seriously. "We promised." Victoria appeared beside them, and Noah's breath caught. She wore a floor-length black gown that was somehow both elegant and understated, her hair swept up in a twist. She looked like she belonged on a red carpet somewhere, but her smile when she saw them was warm and real. "You look wonderful," she said to Noah. "The suit fits perfectly." "Your husband had good taste." "He did." Something flickered across her face. Grief, maybe, or memory, but it passed quickly. I'm so glad you're here. Both of you. Chloe's been counting the minutes. Can Mia sit with me at our table? Chloe asked, still holding Mia's hand. Please? Of course. You're both at table 3 with us. Victoria looked at Noah. I hope that's okay. I thought it would be easier if we were all together. That's fine. It was better than fine, actually. The idea of navigating this event alone had been making Noah's chest tight. The girls ran off toward a corner where someone had set up a face painting station despite this being a formal adult event, and Noah found himself alone with Victoria. Thank you for coming, she said quietly. I know this isn't easy for you. It's not about easy, it's about what's right for Mia. Still, I appreciate it. Victoria glanced around the room, and Noah saw something in her expression that surprised him. Discomfort. She was as out of place here as he was, just better at hiding it. You don't like these things either, he observed. I hate them. All these people care about is being seen. Who's wearing what? Who donated the most money? Who got their name in the program? It's performative generosity, and it makes me feel sick. Then why do it? Because the hospital genuinely needs the funding, and this is how you get it in this city. You throw a party, you get people drunk on expensive wine, you make them feel important, and then you ask them to open their wallets. It's a transaction disguised as altruism. Noah looked at her with new understanding. You really did grow up in Northeast Portland. Victoria's laugh was sharp and genuine. My mother used to clean houses for people like this. I'd go with her some Saturdays when I was Chloe's age. I'd watch these women complain about their housekeepers while my mother scrubbed their toilets, and I'd promise myself I'd never become them. And then I married Marcus, and suddenly I was hosting parties just like this, and I realized I'd become exactly what I'd hated. You're not like them. How do you know? Because you're standing here telling me the truth instead of performing for the crowd. Because you care more about your daughter's happiness than what these people think. Because you invited a janitor to your charity gala, and you're not ashamed to be seen with him. Victoria's eyes went bright. I'm not ashamed. I'm grateful. And slightly terrified that you're going to realize what a mess I am and decide Mia deserves a better friend for Chloe. Mia's not friends with you. She's friends with Chloe. I know, but I'm hoping maybe you and I could be friends too. Eventually. Noah studied her face, the vulnerability there, the hope, and felt something in his chest shift. Maybe. Let's get through tonight first. They moved through cocktail hour, making small talk with people Victoria introduced him to, and Noah noticed how she positioned herself. She didn't explain who he was or offer his resume. She just said, "This is my friend Noah and his daughter Mia," and left it at that. Some people accepted it with polite smiles. Others looked confused, clearly trying to place him in the hierarchy of Portland society and coming up empty. One woman, dripping in diamonds and condescension, couldn't help herself. "Noah, what is it you do?" "I work in facilities management." It was becoming his standard answer, vague enough to be true without inviting further questions. "Oh, how interesting. Which firm?" "I'm independent." Also technically true, he was paid as an independent contractor. "Wonderful. You must meet my husband. He's in commercial real estate." She gestured to a portly man across the room who looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. "I'll keep that in mind," Noah said, knowing he'd do nothing of the sort. When dinner was announced, they made their way to table 3. It was indeed right up front, positioned so Victoria would have easy access to the stage when she was called up to accept her award. Seated with them were a venture capitalist and his wife, a tech CEO, and a state senator. Noah had never felt more out of place in his life. But then Mia and Chloe climbed into their seats, giggling about something the face painter had told them, and suddenly it didn't matter who else was at the table. The girls created their own bubble of joy, and Noah let himself exist inside it. Dinner was a multi-course affair that Noah couldn't have described later if someone had paid him. He was too busy watching Mia navigate the multiple forks and spoons, trying to follow the cues from the adults around her. She did remarkably well, only making one small mistake when she used her salad fork for the main course. Noah gently switched it out for the correct one when no one was looking. The venture capitalist, a man named Gerald with a booming voice, was holding court about tech investments when he suddenly turned to Noah. "You're awfully quiet. What do you think about the AI boom? Good investment or bubble waiting to burst? Every eye at the table turned to Noah. He could feel them waiting, expecting him to fumble, to reveal his ignorance about a world he didn't belong to. I think, Noah said carefully, that any technology is only as good as the people using it. AI can revolutionize healthcare, or it can put people out of work. It depends on whether the people developing it care more about profit or impact. Gerald blinked. That's a remarkably nuanced take. I read a lot. Noah kept his voice even. Just because I'm not in tech doesn't mean I don't pay attention to it. Victoria's foot nudged his under the table, a small gesture of solidarity that made Noah's pulse jump. The senator leaned forward. What do you read? Right now, a lot about sustainable energy solutions. Seems like the most important challenge we're facing. Hear, hear, the senator said, raising his glass. Finally, someone at this table who cares about something besides stock prices. The conversation shifted, and Noah felt some of the tension leave his shoulders. He'd passed some kind of test, proved he could hold his own even if he wasn't part of their world. After dinner, the speeches began. The hospital director talked about the new wing they were funding. A young patient told her story of survival, and then Victoria was called to the stage to accept the Humanitarian of the Year award for Pierce Industries' contributions to pediatric care. Noah watched her walk to the podium, poised and elegant, and listened to her speech about corporate responsibility and giving back to the community. She was good, better than good. She spoke with genuine passion about the importance of accessible health care, about children who deserved a fighting chance regardless of their family's income. But it was what she said at the end that made Noah's throat tight. I was reminded recently that kindness doesn't come from wealth or status. It comes from showing up when someone needs you, even when it's inconvenient or uncomfortable or scary. It comes from seeing another human being in crisis and choosing to help instead of walking away. Real generosity isn't writing a check at a gala. It's staying with a frightened child until her mother arrives. It's protecting someone else's daughter like she's your own. It's teaching your child that the measure of a person isn't what they have, but who they are when no one's watching. I hope we can all remember that as we write our checks tonight, that the goal isn't recognition, but impact, not performance, but presence. Thank you. The room erupted in applause, but Victoria's eyes found Noah's across the crowd, and he knew that speech had been for him. She returned to the table, and Chloe threw her arms around her. You did so good, Mama. Thank you, sweetheart. Victoria hugged her daughter tight, and Noah saw the emotion in her face, raw and unguarded. As the evening wound down and people started to leave, Chloe turned to Mia with big, pleading eyes. Can you stay a little longer, please? There's dancing, and I don't want to dance alone. Indeed, the string quartet had been replaced by a DJ playing something classical and elegant, and couples were moving on to the dance floor. Mia looked at Noah. Can we stay, Daddy, please? Noah checked his watch. It was already 9:30, well past Mia's bedtime. But she looked so happy, and he found himself nodding. A little longer, but then we need to go. The girls ran to the dance floor, holding hands and spinning in circles that had nothing to do with the actual music. They were just being kids, unself-conscious and joyful, and Noah felt his heart swell watching them. They're beautiful together, Victoria said softly, coming to stand beside him. Yeah, they are. Dance with me? Noah looked at her in surprise. What? Dance with me. Just one song. Everyone else is partnered up, and I hate dancing alone. And you're here looking miserable standing by yourself. I don't know how to dance. Not like this. It's just swaying and moving your feet. I'll lead. Come on. She held out her hand, and Noah found himself taking it before he could overthink it. Victoria led him onto the dance floor and positioned his hand on her waist, keeping their bodies at a respectable distance. The song was something slow and instrumental, and Noah tried to focus on not stepping on her feet. Relax, Victoria murmured. You're so tense I can feel it. I'm on a dance floor in a borrowed suit at a charity gala I can't afford to attend. Relaxing isn't really an option. You didn't borrow the suit. I gave it to you. And you can absolutely afford to be here because you're my guest. Stop thinking about what you think you should be and just be present. Noah forced himself to breathe, to feel the music instead of overthinking his steps. Gradually, he found a rhythm. Victoria was right. It was just swaying, just moving together. Your speech was good, he said after a moment. You think so? I think you meant every word. I did. You changed my perspective, Noah, on a lot of things. I didn't do anything. You did everything. You showed me what actual integrity looks like, what it means to be kind without expecting anything in return. I'd forgotten that was possible. Noah looked down at her, at this woman who'd started as his accuser and somehow become something else entirely. You're giving me too much credit. I don't think I'm giving you enough. They danced in silence for a while, and Noah became aware of other people watching them, some with curiosity, some with what looked like disapproval. Let them watch, let them judge. For this one moment, he was exactly where he was supposed to be. The song ended, and they separated. Victoria's cheeks were flushed, her eyes bright. Thank you, she said. For what? For being here. For giving this a chance. For not writing me off when you had every reason to. Before Noah could respond, there was a commotion near the entrance to the ballroom. Raised voices, someone shouting, security, moving quickly. And then Noah heard Chloe scream. He spun toward the sound and saw a man in his 50s, disheveled, wild-eyed, clearly drunk, stumbling through the crowd with his hand locked around Chloe's arm. Mia was behind them, crying, trying to pull Chloe free. Let go of her, Mia was shouting. Let go! The man ignored her, dragging Chloe toward the exit. Your mother owes me money, little girl. She thinks she can ruin my business and walk away. She's going to learn. Noah was moving before conscious thought took over. He crossed the ballroom in seconds, his heart hammering, his vision narrowing to a single point. That man's hand on Chloe's arm. Let her go. Noah's voice came out low and dangerous. The man looked up, his eyes unfocused with alcohol and rage. Who the hell are you? Someone who's telling you to let the child go, right now. This doesn't concern you. Noah's hand shot out and locked around the man's wrist, applying just enough pressure to make him gasp. Let her go. The man's grip on Chloe loosened, and she immediately ran to Mia, both girls sobbing. Noah maintained his hold on the man's wrist, his other hand steady and ready. Security arrived then, 3 guards in suits moving fast. They took over, restraining the drunk man and dragging him toward the exit. He was shouting about lawsuits and Victoria Pierce and bankruptcy, but Noah wasn't listening. He was already turning toward the girls, dropping to his knees in front of them. Are you okay? Did he hurt you? Chloe shook her head, tears streaming down her face. He grabbed me. I was just dancing with Mia, and he grabbed me and said, Shh, it's okay. You're safe now. He's gone. Mia threw her arms around Noah's neck, trembling. He was scary, Daddy. I know, baby. I know, but you're okay. Both of you are okay. Victoria appeared, her face white as a sheet. She dropped down beside Noah and pulled Chloe into her arms, rocking her back and forth. I'm so sorry, sweetheart. I should have been watching you. I should have. It's not your fault, Noah said firmly. How could you have known? Because this isn't the first time someone's blamed me for their business failing. I should have had security closer. I should have. Victoria, stop. You can't control other people's actions. All you can control is what you do now. She looked at him over Chloe's head, and Noah saw the same panic he'd seen at the amusement park. The terror of a parent who'd lost control of their child's safety. They're okay, he said softly. That's what matters. They're okay, and he's gone, and we're all here together. Victoria nodded, but her hands were shaking as she held Chloe. The hotel manager appeared, apologizing profusely, promising that the man would be prosecuted and banned from the property. Victoria handled it with the kind of cold efficiency that came from years of business negotiations. But Noah could see the cracks beneath the surface. I think we should go, he said quietly when the manager left. Yes, you're right. Victoria stood, still holding Chloe. There are people I need to say goodbye to. Forget them. Your daughter needs you. That's more important than social niceties. Victoria stared at him for a moment, then nodded. You're right. Okay, let's go. They collected their coats and walked out together. And Noah couldn't help but notice how different this exit was from the entrance. No one was looking at him with curiosity or judgment anymore. They were looking at him with something else. Respect, maybe, or recognition that he'd done something that mattered. The valet brought Noah's car around first, and he was about to say goodbye when Victoria spoke. Could you come back to the house? Just for a little while? I don't want Chloe to be alone right now, and I think having Mia there would help her calm down. Noah looked at his daughter, exhausted and still clinging to Chloe's hand. Yeah, okay. We'll follow you. They drove through the rain-slicked streets of Portland, Noah's beaten Civic trailing Victoria's sleek Mercedes up into the West Hills. When they arrived at the mansion, Victoria led them not to the formal sitting rooms, but to a smaller, cozier space, a den with overstuffed couches and a fireplace that she lit with the press of a button. The girls curled up together on one couch, wrapped in a blanket, and Victoria sat beside them while Noah took the opposite couch. For a long time, no one spoke. They just sat in the warm glow of the fire, letting the trauma of the evening settle. Mama? Chloe's voice was small. Why did that man say you owed him money? Victoria's face tightened. Because I didn't give him what he wanted. He had a company that made products that hurt people, and when I found out, I stopped doing business with him. He blames me for his company failing, but the truth is he failed because he chose profit over people's safety. You did the right thing, Chloe said. I did, but sometimes doing the right thing makes people angry. Like when you got angry at Noah? The question hung in the air. Victoria's eyes met Noah's across the room. Yes, she said quietly. Like when I got angry at Noah. I was scared, and I let that fear turn into something ugly, and I hurt someone who was only trying to help. That was wrong of me. But you said sorry, Chloe pointed out. And now you're friends. Yes, now we're friends. Victoria's smile was tentative but real. Mia yawned, and Noah realized it was nearly 11. Way past time to go home. We should head out, he said, standing. It's late. Please don't go yet, Chloe pleaded. Can they stay over? Please, Mama, just tonight? Victoria looked at Noah, her expression uncertain. You don't have to. We have school tomorrow, Noah started to say, but Mia cut him off. Daddy, I'm too scared to go home. What if that man knows where we live? Baby, he doesn't know where we live. But what if he does? Please, can we stay? Please. Noah looked at his daughter's frightened face and felt his resolve crumble. Victoria, we can't impose. You're not imposing. I'm inviting. Please. The girls need this. And honestly, I think I need this too. Noah thought about his tiny apartment, about driving through the dark rain with Mia still shaking from fear. He thought about how safe and warm this house felt right now, how the girls were already relaxing into each other. Okay, he said finally. We'll stay, but just for tonight. Victoria's smile transformed her face. Thank you. There are guest rooms upstairs. I'll show you. She led them up a wide staircase to a guest suite that was bigger than Noah's entire apartment. It had its own bathroom with heated floors and fluffy towels. The bed looked like something from a hotel. There are spare toothbrushes in the bathroom cabinet, Victoria said, and I'll find some clothes for Mia to sleep in. Chloe has plenty of pajamas she's never even worn. We'll be fine, thank you. Victoria lingered in the doorway. Noah, what you did tonight with that man, you didn't hesitate. Someone was hurting a child. There was nothing to hesitate about. Most people would have waited for security. You just acted. So did you at the park. You saw a threat to your daughter and you acted. The instinct is the same. You were just wrong about what the threat was. Victoria's eyes filled with tears. How are you this generous after what I put you through? Because holding on to anger doesn't serve anyone, and because Mia deserves better than a father who can't forgive. She deserves better than a lot of things. But somehow she got you. That kid won the lottery. Before Noah could respond, the girls appeared in the doorway in matching pajamas, Chloe in pink, Mia in purple. Can we have a sleepover in my room? Chloe asked. Please? Victoria looked at Noah, who shrugged. Fine with me if it's fine with you. Of course it's fine, Victoria smiled. Come on, girls. Let's get you settled. Noah followed them to Chloe's room, a space that was somehow both lavish and kid-friendly, with a canopy bed and a reading nook and more stuffed animals than anyone could reasonably need. But the thing that struck Noah most was how empty it felt. like a room designed by adults who'd forgotten to ask the child what she actually wanted. The girls climbed into the enormous bed together, giggling and whispering, and Victoria pulled the covers up to their chins. "Good night, sweetheart," she said to Chloe, kissing her forehead. "Night, Mama. Thank you for letting Mia stay." "Thank you for being such a good friend to her." Noah kissed Mia's forehead too. "Sweet dreams, baby." "Daddy, I love you." "I love you too, sweetheart. So much." He and Victoria left the girls to their whispered conversation and walked back downstairs in comfortable silence. In the den, the fire was still burning. Victoria poured herself a glass of wine and offered Noah one, which he accepted. They sat on opposite couches again, the fire crackling between them. "Thank you," Victoria said finally. "For everything. For coming tonight. For protecting Chloe. For staying." "You keep thanking me. You don't need to." "I do, though, because you've given me something I didn't know I needed, perspective. For 2 years I've been trying to buy Chloe's happiness. The best schools, the best toys, the best everything. And in one afternoon your daughter showed her what actually matters. Connection, kindness, being seen for who you are instead of what you have." Noah sipped his wine. "Mia's been lonely too. She lost her mom, and she doesn't really connect with the other kids at school. I think she needed Chloe as much as Chloe needed her. Still, you raised her to be kind in a world that doesn't always reward kindness. That takes intention. I just try to be the kind of person I want her to become. That's all any of us can do." They sat in silence for a while, and Noah felt the weight of the evening finally settling over him. The fear when he'd seen that man grab Chloe. The adrenaline that had carried him through the confrontation. The strange intimacy of this moment, sitting in this mansion with this woman who'd started as his worst nightmare and somehow become something approaching a friend. "Noah," Victoria said softly, "I know I keep saying this, but I need you to know I'm sorry. Not just for the park, but for everything. For making you uncomfortable at the party. For putting you in situations where you have to prove yourself. For not realizing sooner that you don't fit into my world because you're better than it. I'm not better than anything. You are. You're real. Authentic. You care about people, not appearances. That's rare, especially in the circles I move in." Noah met her eyes across the firelight. "What do you want from this, Victoria? From whatever this is that's happening between our families?" She was quiet for a long moment. "I want Chloe to have a friend who cares about her. I want to learn how to be present for my daughter instead of just providing for her. And I want," she hesitated, "I want to believe that people from different worlds can actually connect. That wealth and class don't have to be these insurmountable barriers. They're only barriers if we let them be. Is that what you believe?" "I don't know what I believe anymore," Noah admitted. 2 weeks ago, I would have said our worlds are too different. That trying to bridge that gap would only end in disappointment. But watching our daughters together, seeing how much they genuinely care about each other, it makes me want to try. So try. With me. Let's figure this out together." Noah looked at this woman, brilliant, powerful, vulnerable, and felt something shift in his chest, something that felt dangerous and hopeful and terrifying all at once. "Okay," he said finally. "We'll try." Victoria's smile was like sunrise. "Thank you." They talked until after midnight, and somewhere in the conversation they stopped being strangers, forced together by circumstance, and became two people genuinely interested in each other's lives. Victoria told him about growing up poor, about her mother's strength and her father's quiet dignity, about how she'd built her company from nothing and sometimes wondered if it had been worth the cost. Noah told her about Sarah, about the grief that still ambushed him in quiet moments, about trying to be enough for Mia when he constantly felt like he was failing. When Noah finally went to bed in the guest room, his mind was too full to sleep. He lay in the darkness thinking about everything that had happened, about how a nightmare at an amusement park had led to this strange, complicated, hopeful thing that was growing between two families who should have had nothing in common. Down the hall, the girls slept peacefully, their hands still intertwined, and in her own room, Victoria lay awake too, thinking about the janitor who'd taught her what real strength looked like, and wondering if maybe, just maybe, they were all exactly where they were supposed to be. Noah woke to sunlight streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows and the disorienting realization that he had no idea where he was. The bed beneath him was too soft, the sheets too smooth, the room too quiet. Then memory crashed back. The gala, the drunk man, Victoria's guest room, and he sat up with a jolt, checking his phone. 7:45. Mia should have been up an hour ago for school. He stumbled out of bed, still wearing the dress pants from the night before, and padded down the hallway in bare feet. Chloe's room was empty, the bed neatly made. Panic fluttered in Noah's chest until he heard laughter drifting up from downstairs. He followed the sound to an enormous kitchen where Victoria stood at the stove in yoga pants and an oversized sweater, her hair in a messy bun, flipping pancakes. Mia and Chloe sat at the island in their borrowed pajamas, coloring in a book and chattering like they'd been best friends for years instead of weeks. "Daddy!" Mia spotted him first. "Miss Victoria is making chocolate chip pancakes." "I can see that." Noah stopped in the doorway, suddenly aware that he was shirtless, his dress shirt from last night still hanging in the guest room. Victoria's eyes flickered over him briefly before returning to the stove, but he caught the faint color that rose in her cheeks. "There's coffee," she said, gesturing to a pot that looked like it cost more than Noah's monthly grocery budget. "And I called both schools. Told them the girls had a late night at a family event and would be absent today. I hope that's okay." Noah should have been annoyed that she'd made that decision without consulting him. Instead, he felt something like relief. "Yeah, that's fine. Thank you." He poured himself coffee and leaned against the counter, watching Victoria work. She moved with surprising ease in the kitchen, nothing like the polished CEO from last night. She looked younger like this. More real. "I didn't know you cooked," he said. "I don't, usually, but my mother taught me pancakes, and it's one of the few things I can't mess up." She slid a plate in front of each girl, perfect golden pancakes studded with chocolate chips. "Eat up, you two." The girls dug in with enthusiasm, while Victoria handed Noah a plate. Their fingers brushed, and the contact sent an unexpected jolt through him. From the way Victoria's breath hitched slightly, she'd felt it too. "Thank you," he said quietly. "It's just pancakes." "I'm not talking about the pancakes." Victoria's eyes met his, and something passed between them, an acknowledgement of everything that had happened, everything that was still happening. Then Chloe asked for syrup, and the moment broke. They ate breakfast together at the kitchen island, and Noah tried not to think about how natural this felt. How easy it was to sit here with Victoria and the girls, trading stories and jokes, existing in this bubble where class and wealth and history didn't matter. Mia told an elaborate story about Mr. Whiskers getting stuck in a tree, and Chloe countered with a tale about her goldfish who'd jumped out of its bowl twice. Victoria caught Noah's eye over the girls' heads and smiled, and Noah felt his chest tighten with something he wasn't ready to name. After breakfast, while the girls played in Chloe's room, Victoria walked Noah to the guest room so he could collect his things. He grabbed his shirt from the night before and pulled it on, aware of her watching him from the doorway. "You can keep the suit," she said, "in case there are other events." "Victoria, please, it's just sitting in storage anyway. Marcus would have wanted it to be used." Noah turned to face her. "Why are you doing this?" "Doing what?" "All of it, the pancakes, calling the schools, letting us stay over, giving me clothes. What do you want from me?" Victoria flinched. "I don't want anything from you. I'm just trying to..." "To what? Fix what happened at the park? Prove you're not the person who accused me in front of a crowd? Because you don't need to do that. I already forgave you." "Then what's the problem?" "The problem is that I can't tell if this is real or if it's guilt. If you actually want to be in our lives or if you're just trying to ease your conscience." Victoria's face went pale. "You think I'm doing this out of guilt? I don't know what to think. 3 weeks ago, you thought I was a kidnapper. Now you're making my daughter pancakes and calling me in the middle of the night and inviting me to charity galas. It's a lot to process." "You're right. It is a lot. And I'm sorry if I've been pushing too hard. But Noah, this isn't about guilt. It's about..." She stopped, pressing her lips together like she was physically holding words back. "It's about what?" Victoria looked at him for a long moment, and Noah saw something raw and frightened in her eyes. It's about the fact that for 2 years, I've been sleepwalking through my life, doing everything right on paper but feeling completely empty. And then Chloe got lost, and I met you, and for the first time since Marcus died, I felt something. Not just guilt or fear or obligation, but actual connection with you, with Mia, with the possibility that maybe I don't have to do this alone. The words hung between them, honest and vulnerable and terrifying. Noah's first instinct was to retreat, to protect himself from the complication of whatever this was becoming. But he thought about last night, sitting by the fire, talking until midnight, feeling less alone than he had in months. He thought about Mia's happiness, about how she'd been singing again, drawing again, believing the world was good again. I'm scared, he admitted, of getting hurt, of Mia getting hurt, of letting someone into our lives and having them leave. I know. I'm scared too. But Noah, I'm not going anywhere. And I don't think you are either. How do you know? Because you're here. You stayed last night when you could have left. You came to the gala when every instinct probably told you not to. You keep showing up, even when it's hard. That tells me everything I need to know. Noah ran a hand through his hair, feeling the weight of the decision pressing down on him. I need you to understand something. Mia and I, we're a package deal. If you're going to be in our lives, you're in both our lives. I won't let anyone get close to her just to disappear later. I understand, and I promise you I'm not disappearing. Neither is Chloe. Okay, Noah grabbed his jacket. But we do this slowly. No more big gestures, no more expensive gifts. Just normal. Can we do normal? Victoria's smile was soft and genuine. I would love to do normal, though I should warn you, I'm not very good at it. Lucky for you, I'm an expert. They walked downstairs together, and Noah called for Mia. She appeared with Chloe, both girls looking disappointed that playtime was ending. Do we have to go? Mia asked. Yes, sweetheart. We need to get home, check on Mr. Whiskers, get you some real clothes. Can Chloe come with us? Noah looked at Victoria, who was already nodding. If that's okay with you, I don't have anything scheduled today. We could follow you back to your place. Let the girls play for a while. The idea of Victoria seeing his tiny apartment, his secondhand furniture, his life without any polish or pretense, made Noah's stomach twist. But Mia was looking at him with such hope that he couldn't say no. Sure, follow us. They drove back to Noah's neighborhood in northeast Portland, and he watched Victoria's Mercedes in his rearview mirror, wondering what she was thinking. His apartment complex was fine, clean, safe, well-maintained, but it was worlds away from her mansion in the West Hills. He half expected her to make an excuse and leave once she saw it. Instead, she parked next to him and got out with a genuine smile. This is nice. Very neighborhoody. That's one way to describe it. Noah led them up the exterior stairs to his second-floor unit. Fair warning, it's small. He unlocked the door and they stepped into the living room. Mia immediately ran to check on Mr. Whiskers, who was napping on the couch, completely unconcerned about their overnight absence. Noah watched Victoria take in the space. The worn furniture, the cheap TV, the construction paper decorations Mia had made, the dollar store Christmas tree in the corner. He waited for judgment or pity or polite discomfort. Instead, Victoria smiled. It's lovely. It feels like a home. It's about all I can afford on my salary. Noah, Victoria turned to face him. Stop doing that. Stop apologizing for not being wealthy. I don't care about any of that. Maybe you should, because this is my reality. This is what I can provide for Mia. And if you're going to be in our lives, you need to see it clearly. I am seeing it clearly. I see a father who's working himself to death to give his daughter a good life. I see a home that's filled with love instead of stuff. I see something real instead of the performance I live in. She gestured around the small apartment. This is worth more than my entire mansion, Noah, because it's built on something that actually matters. Before Noah could respond, Mia called out, Daddy, can we show Chloe my room? Sure, baby. The girls disappeared down the short hallway, and Noah heard Mia's excited voice explaining her stuffed animal collection. He grabbed 2 glasses of water and handed one to Victoria. You want the truth? She said quietly. I'm jealous. Of what? Of this. Of how present you are in Mia's life, of how well you know her. I've been so busy building an empire that I barely know what Chloe's favorite color is anymore. It's purple, Noah said. She told Mia at the birthday party. Victoria's laugh was brittle. See? You've known my daughter for 3 weeks, and you know more about her preferences than I do. That's not true. You know her. You're just scared to admit how much you need her, because needing someone means they can hurt you. Victoria stared at him. How do you do that? Do what? See right through me. Everyone else sees the CEO, the billionaire, the widow who has it all together. You see the mess underneath. Maybe because I'm a mess too. Takes one to know one. They stood in his small kitchen, and Noah felt the air between them shift, charged with something he'd been trying to ignore since the night at the gala. Victoria was beautiful, yes, but it was more than that. She was smart and vulnerable and trying so hard to be better. And the way she looked at him made him feel seen in a way he hadn't felt since Sarah died. Noah, she said softly, can I ask you something? Sure. Do you ever think about... She stopped, shook her head. Never mind. It's too soon. Too soon for what? Too soon to tell you that I haven't been able to stop thinking about you since that night at the park. That watching you protect Chloe last night made me feel things I haven't felt in years. That I look forward to your texts more than any business meeting or social obligation. She laughed shakily. See? Too soon. I'm sorry. Noah's heart was hammering. Victoria, I know this is complicated. I know we're from different worlds. I know you're probably not ready, and I'm definitely pushing too hard, but I needed you to know, because I'm tired of pretending this is just about the girls. Before Noah could figure out how to respond, his phone rang. He glanced at the screen. His supervisor, Tom. I need to take this. Hold on. He answered. Hey, Tom, what's up? Brooks. Hey. Listen, we've got a situation. Mike called in sick again, and I need someone to cover the day shift. I know it's your day off, but it's time and a half, and I'm desperate. Noah closed his eyes. He'd already missed a night's sleep. His body was exhausted. And Mia was finally having a good day with Chloe. But time and a half was time and a half. What hours? Noon to 8. I know it's short notice. I'll take it. You're a lifesaver, Brooks. Thanks. Noah hung up and looked at Victoria's questioning face. I have to work this afternoon. On a Saturday? Someone called in sick. They need coverage. He ran a hand through his hair, hating the disappointment on Mia's face when he told her. I'm sorry, I know the girls were having fun. Leave Mia here. Noah blinked. What? Leave Mia here with us. Chloe and I don't have plans today. We can watch her, feed her dinner, bring her back tonight when you're done with work. It's no trouble. Victoria, I can't ask you to do that. You're not asking. I'm offering. Please, Noah, let me help. He wanted to refuse on principle, to maintain the boundaries that kept their worlds separate. But Mia's laughter drifted from the bedroom, bright and unself-conscious, and he couldn't bear to cut it short. Okay, he said finally. But just for today. And you call me if anything happens, if she gets upset, or it... Noah, I know how to take care of a child. She'll be fine. We'll be fine. Go to work. He told Mia about the plan, and she reacted with such pure joy that Noah's guilt eased slightly. He kissed her goodbye, gave Victoria his work number and 3 backup emergency contacts, and headed downtown feeling unmoored. The shift was long and monotonous, cleaning offices, emptying trash, scrubbing bathrooms. But Noah's mind was elsewhere, replaying Victoria's words in his kitchen. I haven't been able to stop thinking about you. The vulnerability in her voice, the hope in her eyes. He didn't know what to do with any of it. Around 6 o'clock, his phone buzzed with a text from Victoria. A photo of Mia and Chloe covered in flour, grinning at the camera. The caption read, Baking cookies was ambitious. Your kitchen may never recover. Despite his exhaustion, Noah smiled. He texted back, My kitchen has survived worse. You should see what happens when Mia tries to make ramen unsupervised. Victoria, note to self, never let Mia near boiling water alone. Noah, she's surprisingly competent. She just gets creative with seasoning. Last time she added cinnamon because she thought it would make it taste like Christmas. Victoria, how was it? Noah, terrible. We ordered pizza. Victoria, smart man. They texted throughout the rest of his shift, light, easy conversation about nothing and everything. Victoria sent updates on the girls' evening, including a video of them performing an elaborate dance routine to a pop song Noah didn't recognize. He sent back a photo of himself in his maintenance uniform with the caption, "Thrilling Saturday night on my end. Victoria, you wear that uniform better than most men wear tuxedos." Noah stared at that message for a full minute before responding, "You can't say things like that and expect me to focus on work." Victoria, "Sorry, not sorry." When his shift ended at 8, Noah drove back to Victoria's house in the West Hills. The mansion was lit up against the night sky, warm and welcoming in a way he hadn't expected. Victoria answered the door in the same casual clothes from that morning, her face free of makeup, her smile genuine. "They're in the den watching a movie," she said. "Fair warning, we let them have way too much sugar." Noah followed her inside and found Mia and Chloe curled up on the couch in matching pajamas. Victoria must have given Mia another set, surrounded by blankets and stuffed animals. They were watching some animated movie and barely glanced up when he entered. "Hey, sweetheart," Noah said. "Ready to go home?" "Can I finish the movie first, please? We're almost at the best part." He looked at Victoria, who shrugged. "It's only got 20 minutes left." "You're welcome to stay." Noah sat in the armchair across from the couch, and Victoria settled beside him on the ottoman. They watched the movie in comfortable silence, and Noah found himself hyper-aware of her proximity. The way she smelled like vanilla and something floral, the way she tucked her hair behind her ear when she was focused, the way she'd glance at him sometimes and smile like they shared a secret. When the credits rolled, both girls were asleep, leaning against each other like bookends. "I don't want to wake her," Noah said quietly, "but we should get home." Or, Victoria hesitated. "You could stay again. I know that's probably pushing it, but it's late. You're tired from working all day, and honestly, I like having you here." The admission hung in the air between them, honest and terrifying. Noah knew he should say no, should maintain boundaries, should protect himself and Mia from getting too attached to this life they couldn't keep. But he was so tired of being alone. "Okay," he heard himself say, "we'll stay." Victoria's smile could have powered the entire city. "Good, I'll get the guest room ready." Later, after they'd carried the sleeping girls upstairs and tucked them into Chloe's bed, Noah and Victoria ended up back in the den. She poured them each a glass of wine, and they sat on opposite ends of the couch, the fire casting dancing shadows on the walls. "Can I ask you something?" Victoria said after a while. "Sure." "What was she like, Sarah?" Noah was surprised by the question, but not hurt by it. "She was light. That's the best way I can describe it. She made everything brighter just by being there. She was a teacher, 2nd grade, and she loved those kids like they were her own. She'd come home with stories every day about things they said or did, and she'd laugh until she cried." He smiled at the memory. "She was terrible at cooking. Absolutely awful. We had takeout probably 5 nights a week because she'd inevitably burn something or forget a key ingredient. But she didn't care. She'd just laugh and order pizza and kiss me and tell me she had better things to do than stress about dinner." "She sounds wonderful." "She was. She made being alive feel easy, you know? Like all the hard stuff didn't matter because we had each other." Noah's throat tightened. "And then she got sick, and I watched that light fade over 6 months, and there was nothing I could do to stop it." Victoria reached across the couch and took his hand. "I'm so sorry." "What was Marcus like?" She smiled sadly. "Brilliant, complicated. He could see 10 steps ahead in business, but he struggled with emotions. He loved Chloe and me, I know he did, but he showed it through providing rather than presence. He worked constantly. 18-hour days were normal for him. I used to get frustrated, wishing he'd just be home for dinner or bedtime stories. And then he had the heart attack, and all those missed dinners suddenly seemed so trivial." She wiped at her eyes. "I'd give anything to have him home late one more time." They sat in the firelight, holding hands, sharing grief the way some people share joy. And Noah realized that this was what was growing between them. Not romance, not yet, but understanding. Two people who'd loved and lost, who were trying to figure out how to keep living for the children who needed them. "I'm glad I met you," Victoria said quietly, "even though it started terribly." even though it's complicated. I'm glad you're in my life. I'm glad too. Noah squeezed her hand, terrified but glad. What are you terrified of? That this is too good to be real, that I'm going to wake up and it'll all be gone, that I'm going to let myself believe in something again and it's going to destroy me when it ends. What if it doesn't end? Victoria, I'm serious, Noah. What if this is real? What if we stop fighting it and just see where it goes? Noah looked at her, really looked, and saw the same fear and hope reflected in her eyes that he felt in his chest. They were both terrified, both scarred, both trying to protect hearts that had already been shattered once. But maybe that was exactly why they understood each other. Okay, he said. Let's see where it goes, but slowly. No rushing, no big declarations, just one day at a time. Victoria's smile was radiant. I can do slow, probably. Maybe. I'll try. Noah laughed despite himself. That's all I'm asking. They talked until nearly midnight again, and when Noah finally went to bed in the guest room, his mind was quiet for the first time in months. Not empty, there was too much to process for that, but peaceful. Like maybe, just maybe, the future didn't have to be something to fear. Sunday morning arrived with the smell of coffee and bacon. Noah found Victoria in the kitchen again, this time cooking breakfast with actual competence. You're spoiling us, he said, accepting the coffee she offered. Good. You deserve to be spoiled. The girls came downstairs and ate breakfast with the same easy contentment as the day before. Afterward, Chloe asked if they could go to the park, and Victoria looked at Noah questioningly. There's a good one near my place, he offered. Nothing fancy, but the playground's decent. Perfect. Let's go. They piled into Victoria's Mercedes. She insisted, saying his car needed a break, and drove to the park in Noah's neighborhood. It was nothing like the amusement park where they'd met. Just a simple playground with swings and slides and a jungle gym. But the girls loved it, running off to play while Noah and Victoria sat on a bench and watched. This is nice, Victoria said. Normal. This is my normal. Is it weird for you? It's different, but good different. I like seeing how other people live. How you live. They watched the girls play, and Noah was struck by how natural this felt. Like they'd been doing this for years instead of weeks. Like this was always how it was supposed to be. A woman approached the bench, Mrs. Chen, Noah's neighbor, who watched Mia. She spotted Noah and smiled. Noah, and this must be Mia's friend Chloe. She looked at Victoria curiously. I'm Mrs. Chen. I live near Noah and Mia. Victoria Pierce, Chloe's mother. It's nice to meet you. Mrs. Chen's eyes widened slightly. She clearly recognized the name, but she recovered quickly. The girls seem very happy together. They do, Victoria agreed. Mia's been wonderful for Chloe. And Chloe's been wonderful for Mia. Mrs. Chen smiled at Noah. It's good to see you happy again, Noah. You deserve it. After she walked away, Victoria looked at him. She cares about you. She's been a lifesaver, watching Mia when I work nights, bringing us food when she cooks too much, just being there. I don't know what we'd do without her. You have a whole community here, people who care about you. Yeah, it's not fancy, but it's real. Victoria took his hand right there in public where anyone could see. I want to be part of that community, part of your real life, not just the version you show me at galas. Noah looked at their joined hands, at the girls playing in the distance, at the ordinary Sunday afternoon that felt extraordinary because of who he was sharing it with. Okay, he said, but that means you have to come to things like parent-teacher conferences and school plays and boring weeknight dinners with mac and cheese. I want all of that. I want normal and boring and real. Even when real means my apartment and my job and my life that looks nothing like yours. Especially then, Victoria squeezed his hand, because your life has something mine doesn't. What's that? Joy, presence, love that isn't measured in dollars. I want to learn how to live like that again. Noah pulled her closer, and she rested her head on his shoulder. They sat like that while the girls played, and Noah let himself imagine a future where this wasn't temporary, where Victoria and Chloe were permanent fixtures in his and Mia's life, where they built something together that looked nothing like what either of them had lost, but was beautiful in its own right. Noah? Victoria said quietly. Yeah? Thank you for giving me another chance, for seeing past my worst moment, for being patient while I figure this out. Thank you for staying, for showing up, for letting us into your life. I think maybe we needed to be in each other's lives, all four of us. Yeah, I think maybe we did. As the afternoon wore on and they eventually headed back to Victoria's house for dinner, which they cooked together, laughing when Noah taught Victoria how to properly brown meat, and she taught him the proper way to chop vegetables. Noah felt something he hadn't felt in 8 months. Hope. Not the fragile, desperate kind that shatters at the first sign of trouble, but the steady, resilient kind that survives because it's built on something real. Built on two people who'd been broken and were learning to be whole again. Built on two children who'd found friendship in the midst of loss. Built on the understanding that sometimes the worst moments of our lives lead us exactly where we need to be. When he and Mia finally drove home that night, both exhausted and happy, Mia asked the question Noah had been asking himself all weekend. Daddy, are we going to keep seeing Chloe and Miss Victoria? Noah looked at his daughter in the rear-view mirror. Would you like that? Yes, they make me happy. And they make you happy too, I can tell. Yeah, sweetheart. We're going to keep seeing them. Good. Mia yawned and closed her eyes. I think Mama would like them. Noah's chest tightened, but not with pain this time, with gratitude. Yeah, baby. I think she would. As he pulled into their apartment complex and carried his sleeping daughter inside, Noah's phone buzzed with a text from Victoria. Thank you for this weekend, for letting me into your world, for trusting me with your daughter and your heart. I know we're taking it slow, but I need you to know I'm all in. Whatever this becomes, I'm here. V. Noah typed back with one hand while holding Mia with the other. I'm here too, scared, but here. Let's figure this out together. Victoria. Together. I like the sound of that. Noah carried Mia to her room, tucked her into bed, and stood in the doorway watching her sleep. His daughter who'd lost so much, but still had so much love to give. His brave, kind, beautiful girl who'd found a friend when she needed one most. And maybe, just maybe, he'd found something too. Not a replacement for what he'd lost. Nothing could replace Sarah, but something new. Something unexpected. Something worth fighting for. In the West Hills, Victoria was doing the same thing, standing in Chloe's doorway, watching her daughter sleep, thinking about the janitor who'd shown her what real strength looked like. The man who'd protected her child, who'd forgiven her worst moment, who'd invited her into a life that was richer than anything money could buy. They were different people from different worlds, but they'd found common ground in the most unlikely place. In loss, in parenting, in the desperate desire to give their children something better than grief. And as Portland slept around them, two families who'd been broken began to wonder if maybe, just maybe, they could build something whole together. The week following that weekend felt like standing on the edge of something Noah couldn't quite name. He went to work, came home to Mia, maintained the routines that had kept them afloat for 8 months. But underneath the ordinary surface, everything had shifted. Victoria texted him every morning, simple things like, "Good morning," or "Hope you slept well." And every time his phone buzzed, Noah felt something warm unfold in his chest. On Tuesday, Victoria asked if she could take Mia to school with Chloe. Just for one day, she said, so the girls could ride together and Chloe wouldn't feel so alone in the backseat of the town car. Noah hesitated, then agreed, and spent the entire morning anxious until Victoria sent a photo of both girls grinning outside Mia's public school, Chloe's private school uniform looking wildly out of place, but her smile genuine and bright. Victoria. Chloe asked if she could switch schools. I told her I'd think about it. But Noah. You're not seriously considering that. Victoria. Why not? She hates the private school. Says the kids there only care about designer backpacks and whose parents have the biggest houses. Noah. Because you'd be giving up a $20,000 a year education. Victoria. Or I'd be giving my daughter what she actually needs, friends who like her for who she is. Noah stared at that message for a long time. The idea of Chloe at Mia's overcrowded public school with outdated textbooks and underpaid teachers should have felt wrong. But he thought about Mia's classroom, loud and chaotic and filled with kids from every background imaginable. And he realized Victoria might be right. Chloe didn't need more polish. She needed more real. On Thursday evening, Noah got home from work to find Victoria's Mercedes parked outside his apartment building. His heart jumped, and he took the stairs two at a time to find Victoria and Chloe sitting on the floor of his living room with Mia, all three of them covered in paint. "What's happening here?" he asked, bemused. "Art project," Mia announced, holding up a canvas covered in abstract swirls of color. "Miss Victoria brought supplies." Victoria looked up at him with paint on her cheek and genuine joy in her eyes. "I hope this is okay. We stopped by on impulse. Chloe wanted to see Mr. Whiskers, and then Mia mentioned she had an art assignment, and I may have gone overboard at the craft store." Noah looked at the array of supplies spread across his living room floor. Paints, brushes, canvases, glitter, markers. Enough material to stock an elementary school art room. It probably cost more than his monthly utilities. "Victoria," he said quietly, "this is too much." Her face fell. "I'm sorry. I did it again, didn't I? The big gesture thing you asked me not to do." "Daddy, please don't make her take it back," Mia said, her voice small. "We were having so much fun." Noah looked at his daughter's paint-covered face, at Chloe's hopeful expression, at Victoria's embarrassment, and he realized something important. Victoria wasn't trying to buy their affection or assuage her guilt. She was just trying to be part of their lives the only way she knew how. With generosity, with abundance, with the tools her wealth provided. "It's okay," he said, kneeling beside them. "Just maybe check with me first next time, before you turn my apartment into an art studio." Victoria's smile was relieved. "Deal, and for the record, I'm terrible at art. The girls have been teaching me." They spent the evening painting together, and Noah learned that Victoria was right. She was absolutely terrible at art. Her attempts at a sunset looked like a bruise, and her flower resembled something from a horror movie. But she laughed at her own incompetence, let the girls tease her, and seemed more relaxed than Noah had ever seen her. After they put the girls to bed, Chloe and Mia's room on an air mattress Victoria had bought, another impulse purchase Noah chose not to comment on, he and Victoria sat on his worn couch with glasses of cheap wine. "I'm trying," Victoria said quietly, "to do this right, to not overwhelm you. But I'm used to solving problems with resources, and I keep forgetting that's not what this is." "What is this?" Noah asked. Victoria met his eyes. "I don't know yet, but I want to find out. If you'll let me." Noah studied her face in the dim light from his kitchen. She'd taken off her expensive jewelry, pulled her hair into a messy ponytail, and looked more beautiful than she had at the gala in her designer gown. "I'm scared," he admitted, "of how fast this is moving, of what it means for Mia if things don't work out, of whether I can actually do this, be with someone again. I'm scared too. But Noah, I haven't felt this alive in 2 years. You and Mia, you've reminded me what it means to be present, to care about something beyond quarterly earnings and board meetings. I don't want to lose that." "What are you saying?" Victoria set down her wine glass and took both his hands. "I'm saying I want to try, really try, not just as friends co-parenting our daughters, but as something more. I'm saying that when I'm with you, I feel like myself again, the version of myself I'd forgotten existed. And I hope, you might feel the same way." Noah's heart was hammering. "Victoria, our lives are so different. Your world, my world, they don't exactly overlap. Then we'll build a new world, one that belongs to both of us. It's not that simple." "Why not? Why can't it be simple? Two people who care about each other, whose children love each other, who want the same things. Why does everything else have to matter?" "Because it does matter. Because I can't afford to take you to nice restaurants or buy you expensive gifts or fit into your social circle. Because eventually you're going to realize that what I can offer isn't enough." Victoria's eyes flashed. "That's not fair. You're making assumptions about who I am and what I want without asking me. Then tell me, what do you want?" "You," Victoria said simply. "I want you. Not your money or your status or anything else. Just you. The man who protected my daughter, who forgives mistakes, who makes pancakes on Sunday mornings and works double shifts so his daughter can have a good Christmas. The man who sees me, really sees me, instead of the performance. I want you, Noah Brooks. And I think you want me too, even if you're too scared to admit it." Noah looked at her, at the vulnerability and hope and fear in her face, and felt something break open in his chest. She was right. He was terrified. Terrified of wanting this, of believing in something good again, of letting someone pass the walls he'd built to survive his grief. But he was also tired. So tired of being alone. "Okay," he whispered. "Okay, let's try." Victoria's smile was incandescent. She leaned forward, slowly, giving him time to pull away. When he didn't, she kissed him, soft and tentative and perfect. Noah's hands came up to cup her face, and he kissed her back, tasting wine and hope, and the promise of something he'd thought he'd lost forever. When they pulled apart, both breathless, Victoria laughed shakily. "I've wanted to do that since the night at the gala." "Why didn't you?" "Because you weren't ready, and I was trying to be patient." "I'm not sure I'm ready now," Noah admitted, "but I'm tired of letting fear make my decisions." They sat together on his couch, Victoria's head on his shoulder, and talked about what this meant. They agreed to take things slow for the girls' sake, to not rush into anything that might confuse or hurt them. They agreed to be honest about their fears and needs. They agreed that this was terrifying and wonderful and worth the risk. Around midnight, Victoria reluctantly left to drive home, and Noah stood at his window watching her taillights disappear, wondering what he'd just gotten himself into. The answer came Friday afternoon when Victoria called him at work, her voice tight with stress. "Noah, I need help." "What's wrong?" "I have an emergency board meeting in an hour, something about a hostile takeover attempt that my CFO just found out about. I need to be there, but Chloe's school called. She's running a fever and I need to pick her up. My assistant is in Seattle, my mother's out of town, and I don't have anyone else I trust." "I'll get her," Noah said without hesitation. "Noah, you're at work. I'll leave early. Text me the school address. I'll pick her up and bring her to your place." "Are you sure?" "Victoria, you asked for help. Let me help." There was a pause, and when Victoria spoke again, her voice was thick with emotion. "Thank you. I'll text you the security code for the house. There's children's medicine in the upstairs bathroom. And Noah, thank you for being someone I can count on." Noah told Tom he had a family emergency, not technically a lie, and left work early. He picked up Chloe from her private school, where the staff looked at him with barely concealed suspicion until he showed them the text from Victoria authorizing the pickup. Chloe was miserable, feverish and teary, and clung to Noah's hand as he led her to his car. "I want my mama," she whimpered. "I know, sweetheart, but she has to work right now, so you're stuck with me. Is that okay?" Chloe nodded, then promptly fell asleep in the back seat during the drive to the West Hills. Noah had never been to Victoria's house without her there, and letting himself in with the security code felt strange and intimate. He carried Chloe upstairs to her room, found the children's medicine Victoria had mentioned, and got her to take a dose before tucking her into bed. "Will you stay?" Chloe asked, her voice small. "I don't want to be alone. I'll stay as long as you need me to." He sat beside her bed in the enormous room, and Chloe reached for his hand. "You're nice, like my daddy was." Noah's throat tightened. "Your daddy sounds like he was a good man." "He was, but he was always busy, working. Mama says he worked so hard because he loved us." "I'm sure that's true. But I wish he'd just stayed home sometimes. I would have been happy with less stuff if it meant he was there." Chloe's eyes were drooping. "You're always there for Mia. That's why she's so happy." "I try to be." "I'm glad Mama found you. I think she's happier now, too." Chloe fell asleep still holding his hand, and Noah sat there in the quiet mansion, thinking about what she'd said. About presence versus presence. About Marcus Pierce working himself to death trying to provide, missing the fact that what his daughter needed most was his time. Noah understood that impulse. He'd been doing the same thing, working double shifts, sacrificing moments with Mia to afford the life he thought she deserved. But maybe Mia didn't need more things. Maybe she just needed him. Victoria came home around 7, looking exhausted and stressed. She found Noah in Chloe's room, still sitting beside the bed, and her expression crumbled. "You stayed." "I told her I would." Victoria crossed the room and kissed him, grateful and tender. "How is she?" "Fever's down. She took medicine and slept for about 2 hours. I think it's just a cold." "Thank you for dropping everything, for being here. That's what you do when someone needs you. You show up." Victoria sat on the edge of Chloe's bed, stroking her daughter's hair. The board meeting was a nightmare. 3 hours of grown men posturing and playing power games. All I could think about was getting home to her. Did you resolve it? For now, but Noah, I'm exhausted. Trying to run a company and be a present mother and navigate whatever this is between us. Some days I feel like I'm drowning. Noah stood and pulled her to her feet. Then delegate. You've got a whole executive team. Let them handle some of it. It's not that simple. Yes, it is. You just have to choose. What matters more, being in every meeting or being here when your daughter needs you? Victoria looked at him, and something shifted in her face. You're right. I've been so focused on proving I can do it all that I forgot I don't have to. She made a call right there, telling her assistant to clear her schedule for the next week, except for absolute emergencies. Then she turned back to Noah with a determined expression. I want to do something. Will you help me? Depends on what it is. I want to throw a proper Christmas party. Not a charity gala or a networking event, a real party. For Mia and Chloe and the people who actually matter to us. Your neighbors, my staff, the people who've helped us. No donors, no board members, just real people. Noah smiled. That sounds perfect. They spent the next week planning, and Noah watched Victoria transform from corporate CEO to someone who genuinely cared about creating something meaningful. She insisted on cooking some of the food herself, laughing when Noah had to rescue her attempts at sugar cookies. She decorated her mansion with the girls' help, letting them hang crooked paper snowflakes and handmade ornaments that clashed with the professional decor. The party was scheduled for December 23rd, and as guests started arriving, Noah felt his anxiety spike. He'd invited Mrs. Chen, his supervisor, Tom, a few neighbors from his apartment building. They looked overwhelmed by the mansion, out of place among the elegant furnishings. But Victoria greeted everyone warmly, introducing herself not as Billionaire CEO Victoria Pierce, but simply as Chloe's mom. She asked Mrs. Chen about her late husband, complimented Tom on his leadership at work, and made Noah's neighbors feel genuinely welcome. Mia and Chloe ran through the house in matching dresses. Victoria had asked Noah's permission this time before buying Mia's, laughing and pulling adults into their games. The party was chaotic and loud, and nothing like the polished events Victoria usually hosted. It was perfect. Around 8 o'clock, after most guests had left and only close friends remained, Victoria pulled Noah aside to her study. I have something to show you, she said, pulling out a folder. I've been working on this all week. Noah opened it and found architectural plans. Plans for a community center in Northeast Portland, after-school programs, art classes, tutoring, free meals for families in need. This is incredible, he said. But Victoria, I'm funding it. Pierce Industries is funding it. But I want you involved. I want your input on what the community actually needs, not what I think they need from my mansion in the West Hills. I want this to be real, Noah. To actually help people instead of just making me feel good about myself. Noah looked at the plans, then at Victoria's hopeful face. You're serious about this? Completely. I've spent 2 years writing checks and attending galas and never actually connecting with the people I'm supposedly helping. You've shown me a different way. A better way. I want to be part of the solution instead of part of the problem. This is going to take work, real work. Being present, getting your hands dirty, listening to people who live nothing like you do. Good. I want that. I need that. Victoria took his hands. I need you to keep me grounded. Keep me real. Keep me from turning into the person I was afraid I'd become. Before Noah could respond, Mia and Chloe burst into the study. Mama, Daddy, come quick! Chloe was breathless with excitement. It's snowing! They rushed outside to the back patio where, sure enough, fat snowflakes were falling from the sky. It was rare for Portland to get snow, especially this early, and the girls were ecstatic. They ran into the yard with their hands outstretched, trying to catch flakes on their tongues. Noah stood with Victoria on the patio, her hand in his, watching their daughters play. Mrs. Chen and Tom had come outside too, along with the few remaining guests, and everyone stood in the quiet wonder of unexpected snow. This is what I wanted, Victoria said softly. This exact moment. Real people, real joy, real connection, not performance, not obligation, just presence. You did good, Noah said, squeezing her hand. We did good. Together. The girls built a tiny snowman, barely a foot tall before the snow stopped, and insisted on taking 1,000,000 pictures. Then everyone went back inside for hot chocolate, and Noah found himself in Victoria's kitchen, helping her make it from scratch, while their daughters told elaborate stories to the remaining guests. "Noah," Victoria said as she stirred milk on the stove, "I need to ask you something important." His stomach clenched. "Okay." "I'm thinking about pulling back from Pierce Industries. Not completely. I'd stay on as board chair, but I'd hire a CEO to run day-to-day operations. I want to focus on the community center, on being more present for Chloe, on building something that actually matters." She turned to face him. "But I need to know if that's something you'd support, because I'm not doing this just for me. I'm doing it for us, for whatever we're building together." Noah set down the mug he'd been holding. "Victoria, that's a huge decision. You can't make it based on a relationship that's barely a month old." "I'm not. I'm making it based on what I've learned about myself in the past month, that I'm not happy running a corporation, that I miss being hands-on and creative, that I want Chloe to remember me being at her school plays, not stuck in board meetings." She stepped closer. "You didn't make me realize this, Noah. You just helped me admit what I already knew." "Are you sure?" "I've never been more sure of anything." Noah pulled her into his arms, breathing in the scent of her hair. "Then I support you. Completely." They stood like that while the hot chocolate nearly boiled over, and Noah marveled at how much had changed since that night at the amusement park. How a moment of crisis had led to this, standing in a mansion he never could have imagined entering, holding a woman he never could have imagined loving, building a future he never could have imagined deserving. The party wound down around 11, Mrs. Chen was the last to leave, pulling Noah aside on her way out. "She's good for you," Mrs. Chen said quietly. "And you're good for her. Don't let fear keep you from this, Noah. Sarah would want you to be happy." Noah's eyes stung. "You think so?" "I know so. She loved you too much to want you to be alone forever." Mrs. Chen patted his cheek. "Let yourself have this. You've earned it." After everyone left, Noah intended to take Mia home, but she and Chloe had fallen asleep together on the couch in the den, and he didn't have the heart to wake them. Victoria poured them each another glass of wine, and they sat by the fire while snow continued to fall outside. "I have something for you," Victoria said, reaching under the couch and pulling out a wrapped box. "Early Christmas present." "Victoria, we said no gifts. Open it." Noah unwrapped the box to find a leather journal and an expensive pen. Inside the journal's cover, Victoria had written, "For the stories you'll tell Mia about these days, about how 4 broken people found each other and built something whole. Merry Christmas." V. Noah's throat was too tight to speak. He set the journal aside and pulled Victoria close, kissing her with all the gratitude and fear and hope he couldn't put into words. When they pulled apart, Victoria was crying. "I love you," she whispered. "I know it's too soon and I'm probably supposed to wait, and I'm terrified of saying it, but I love you. I love your integrity and your kindness and the way you see the world. I love how you love Mia. I love that you make me want to be better. I love you, and I needed you to know." Noah's heart was hammering so hard he could hear it. The smart thing would be to slow down, to be cautious, to protect himself. But sitting here with Victoria in his arms, their daughters asleep in the next room, snow falling outside like a blessing, he couldn't bring himself to be smart. "I love you too," he said. "I'm terrified and probably making a huge mistake, and Sarah's only been gone 8 months and this is all happening too fast. But I love you. I think I've loved you since you apologized at that coffee shop, since you admitted you were wrong and asked for a chance to be better." They kissed again, slower this time, and Noah felt something inside him unlock. Permission to move forward, permission to be happy, permission to build a future that honored his past without being trapped by it. "So what now?" Victoria asked. "Now we figure it out as we go, together." Christmas morning arrived cold and bright. Noah had planned to spend it alone with Mia in their apartment, but Victoria had different ideas. She showed up at 8 o'clock with Chloe and enough food to feed an army. "I'm not a great cook," she said when Noah answered the door in his pajamas, "but I can follow instructions, and my mother texted me her recipe for cinnamon rolls. Fair warning, they might be terrible." They were not terrible. They were slightly lopsided and overly sweet, but the girls devoured them while sitting on Noah's living room floor, opening the modest presents Noah had managed to buy on his limited budget. He watched anxiously as Mia opened her gifts, a new set of colored pencils, a book about cats, a stuffed animal from the thrift store, worried they'd look pathetic next to whatever elaborate gifts Chloe had received. But Mia was genuinely delighted with everything, showing each item to Chloe with pride. And when Chloe opened her gifts, similarly modest items Victoria had clearly chosen with care rather than expense, her reaction was the same. The girls didn't care about price tags. They cared about being together. "I have something for you too," Victoria said to Noah, handing him a small box. Inside was a watch. Not an expensive designer piece, but a simple, sturdy watch that looked remarkably like the one Noah's father had given him. "Your watch stopped working," Victoria said quietly. "You mentioned it once, months ago. I found a watchmaker who could fix it. This is your father's watch, Noah. I didn't buy you a new one. I just gave you back the one you already had." Noah stared at the watch, his father's watch, the one he'd thought was beyond repair, and felt tears streaming down his face. When did you, "That night at your apartment, when we were painting. I asked Mia if I could borrow something of yours to get you a Christmas gift. She showed me the watch in your nightstand drawer. I took it to be repaired while you were at work." Noah pulled Victoria into his arms, holding her tight while he cried. Not from sadness, but from the overwhelming feeling of being known, being seen. Being loved enough that someone noticed a broken watch mentioned in passing and cared enough to fix it. "Thank you," he managed. "This is the best gift anyone's ever given me." "It's just a watch." "It's not. It's you seeing me. Really seeing me. That's everything." They spent Christmas Day in Noah's small apartment, and it was the best Christmas either family had experienced in years. They cooked together, a slightly burned ham and lumpy mashed potatoes that they laughed about. They played board games that got competitive. They watched movies with the girls curled between them. They built a blanket fort in the living room and ate dinner inside it, giggling like children. It was chaotic and imperfect and absolutely beautiful. That evening, after the girls had crashed from sugar overload and were sleeping in Mia's room, Noah and Victoria sat on his couch, surrounded by wrapping paper and dishes that needed washing. "I've made a decision," Victoria said. "About the company?" "About everything. I'm hiring a CEO for Pierce Industries. I'm starting the community center. I'm transferring Chloe to public school." She took a breath. "And I'm selling the mansion." Noah's eyes widened. "Victoria, it's too big, too empty, too much performance and not enough life. I want something smaller, something that feels like a home instead of a showpiece. Maybe something in your neighborhood, if I can find it. Close enough that the girls can walk to school together. Close enough that we can be part of the same community." "That's a huge change." "I know, but it's the right change. I don't want to live in different worlds anymore, Noah. I want to live in the same world as you, as us." Noah thought about what she was offering, the sacrifice she was willing to make, the life she was choosing to leave behind. "What about your mother, your friends, the people who know you as you are now?" "My mother will understand. She never liked that house anyway." "And the people who only know me as a billionaire CEO living in a mansion aren't really my friends. They're business associates. I want real friends, real life. I want what you have, community and connection, and people who care about you for who you are. You know this neighborhood isn't perfect, right? The buildings are old, the schools are underfunded. There's crime and noise and all the messy reality you've been insulated from. Good. I want messy reality. I'm tired of polish and pretense." Victoria took his hands. "I'm not asking you to move into my world anymore, Noah. I'm asking if I can move into yours." Noah looked at this extraordinary woman who was willing to give up everything she'd built to be with him, and he realized something important. This wasn't about her world or his world. It was about building a new world together, one that honored both their pasts while creating something better for their futures. "Okay," he said, "but on one condition." "What's that?" "We find a place that's ours. Not in my neighborhood or yours, but somewhere new. Somewhere we choose together. Somewhere the girls have their own rooms, and we have space to build whatever this becomes. Somewhere that's not too big or too small, but just right for the family we're becoming. Victoria's smile could have powered the city. I love that idea. Let's do it. Let's build something new. They kissed, and Noah felt the last of his resistance crumble. This was happening. This impossible, terrifying, wonderful thing was actually happening. They were building a family from broken pieces, creating something whole from separate griefs, finding home in each other. The week between Christmas and New Year's passed in a blur of planning and possibility. Victoria put the mansion on the market and started house hunting in earnest. Noah gave notice at his job. Victoria had offered him a position managing the community center, and after initially refusing, he'd accepted when she pointed out that his experience understanding what working families actually needed was invaluable. They looked at houses together, the girls bouncing through empty rooms and claiming bedrooms, imagining the life they'd build in each space. On New Year's Eve, they found it. A craftsman-style house in southeast Portland, halfway between Noah's old neighborhood and Victoria's mansion. 4 bedrooms, a real backyard, a kitchen big enough to cook together, a living room with a fireplace. It needed work. The hardwood floors were scratched, the walls needed paint, the appliances were outdated, but it felt right. It felt like home. "This is it," Victoria said, standing in the empty living room with her hand in Noah's. "This is where we start." They made an offer that night, and it was accepted within hours. Then they drove to Victoria's mansion for the New Year's Eve party she'd planned. Another real gathering, no donors or business associates, just the people who mattered. Mrs. Chen was there, and Tom, and several of Noah's neighbors. Victoria's assistant came with her family, the staff from Chloe's old school who'd helped with the transition, the architects working on the community center, everyone who'd been part of their journey from strangers to family. As midnight approached, they gathered on the back patio where they'd watched snowfall on the night of the Christmas party. The girls had been allowed to stay up, and they stood together wrapped in blankets, Mia and Chloe holding hands. "Before we count down," Victoria said, her voice carrying across the crowd, "I want to say something. 3 weeks ago, I thought I knew what my life was, what it was supposed to look like, what success meant. And then a man I'd wronged showed me a different way, a better way. He taught me that real wealth isn't measured in dollars, but in connections. That real success isn't building an empire, but building a home. That real strength isn't power, but presence." She looked at Noah, her eyes bright with tears. "Noah Brooks, you saved my daughter. But more than that, you saved me. You showed me what it means to be kind when kindness is hard, to forgive when you have every right to hold grudges, to show up even when it's inconvenient or uncomfortable. You've given me more than I ever could have given you, and I'm grateful every single day that Chloe ran into you instead of someone else." The crowd was silent, everyone watching this moment unfold. Noah stepped forward and took Victoria's hand. "You're giving me too much credit. I just did what anyone should do. But you did something harder. You admitted you were wrong. You changed your entire life to become better. You chose humility over pride and connection over comfort. You're the bravest person I know, Victoria Pierce, and I'm honored to build a life with you." The countdown began then, 10, 9, 8. And as the numbers descended toward midnight, Noah looked around at the people gathered on this patio. His daughter, so happy she glowed. Victoria's daughter, no longer lonely and afraid. Mrs. Chen, who'd been his family when he had none. Tom, who'd given him chances when he needed them. Victoria, who'd become his partner in every sense of the word. 3, 2, 1. "Happy New Year!" Fireworks exploded over the city, and Noah kissed Victoria as cheers erupted around them. The girls squealed and jumped and waved sparklers someone had distributed. Mrs. Chen cried happy tears, and Noah felt something he hadn't felt in 8 months, complete. Not because he'd forgotten Sarah or stopped grieving what he'd lost, but because he'd learned that grief and joy could coexist, that loving someone new didn't diminish what he'd had before, that broken people could build whole families if they were brave enough to try. Later, after most guests had left and the girls had finally crashed on the couch in the den, Noah and Victoria stood in her study looking at the architectural plans for the community center. Ground would break in March. It would serve hundreds of families, create jobs, provide resources, change lives. "We should name it," Victoria said. "The center." "What did you have in mind?" The Sarah and Marcus Brooks Pierce Community Center, after the people we lost, to honor what they taught us about love and sacrifice and being present. Noah's chest tightened. They'd like that, both of them. They'd like what we're building too, this family, this life, this second chance we're giving ourselves. Yeah, I think they would. Victoria turned to face him, and in the quiet of the study with fireworks still popping outside, she said the words that would shape their future. Marry me. Noah blinked. What? Marry me, Noah Brooks. Not tomorrow or next month or even this year, but someday. When we're ready. When the girls are ready. When we've built enough trust and foundation that it feels right. Marry me, and let's make this permanent. Let's give our daughters the family they deserve. Let's promise each other that we're in this for real. Noah looked at this woman, brilliant, vulnerable, brave, and realized he'd been waiting for permission he didn't need. Permission to move forward, permission to be happy, permission to believe in forever again. Yes, he said, someday. When we're ready, yes. They sealed it with a kiss, and Noah felt the last piece of his broken heart click into place. 6 months later, they moved into the Craftsman House in southeast Portland. The girls had rooms across the hall from each other, and Noah and Victoria took the master bedroom overlooking the backyard. They painted walls together, refinished floors, planted a garden, made the house theirs. Chloe transferred to Mia's public school and thrived. She made friends, joined the art club, stopped caring about designer backpacks. Mia blossomed, having her best friend in class, her confidence growing as she navigated school with Chloe by her side. The community center broke ground in March and opened its doors in September. Noah managed it with passion and purpose, finally using his understanding of what working families needed to create something that actually helped. Victoria served on the board but stayed hands-off, trusting Noah to run it his way. And slowly, carefully, they built a life together. Not perfect. There were disagreements about money and parenting and how much of Victoria's wealth to use and how to balance their different backgrounds. But they worked through it together, learning each other's languages, building bridges between their worlds. A year after they met, on a cold December night, Noah and Victoria stood in the living room of their home while Mia and Chloe slept upstairs. They'd spent the evening decorating for Christmas, a real tree, handmade ornaments, lights strung with care. Do you ever regret it? Noah asked. Giving up the mansion, the CEO position, the life you had? Victoria looked around their modest living room with its scratched floors and mismatched furniture and photos of their blended family covering every surface. Not for a second, she said. This is what I was looking for all along. I just didn't know it until a scared little girl ran into a kind man at an amusement park. Best night of my life, Noah said, even though it started as the worst. The best things usually do. They stood together in the quiet house, and Noah thought about the journey that had brought them here, from strangers to enemies to friends to family, from broken to healing to whole, from separate grief to shared joy. The doorbell rang, surprising them both. Noah opened it to find Mrs. Chen holding a casserole dish. I made too much, she said with a knowing smile. Thought you might want some for tomorrow. You're always making too much, Noah teased, but he took the dish gratefully. That's because someone has to make sure you're eating properly. Victoria's many talents, but cooking isn't one of them. I heard that, Victoria called from the living room, laughing. Mrs. Chen patted Noah's cheek. You've done good, Noah. Both of you. Sarah and Marcus would be proud. After she left, Noah carried the casserole to the kitchen and found Victoria making hot chocolate, one of the few things she'd truly mastered. They sat together at their kitchen table, the same one they'd refinished together, drinking chocolate and talking about nothing and everything. I'm happy, Victoria said suddenly. I don't think I've said that out loud in years. But I'm happy, Noah. With you, with our girls, with this life we've built. I'm genuinely happy. Me too, Noah said. And he meant it. Upstairs, Mia and Chloe slept in their respective rooms, hands still reaching across the hallway for each other even in sleep. Best friends, sisters in all the ways that mattered. And in the living room, the Christmas tree lights twinkled in the darkness, illuminating photos of a family that shouldn't have existed, but did. 4 people who'd found each other in crisis and chosen to stay, who'd built something whole from broken pieces, who'd learned that sometimes the worst moments of our lives are just the beginning of the best ones. Noah pulled Victoria close, breathing in the scent of her hair, feeling grateful for every twist of fate that had led them here. The lost child, the false accusation, the impossible bridge between their worlds, all of it necessary, all of it worth it. Because this, right here, right now, in this house with this woman and their daughters sleeping upstairs, this was home. Not the address or the structure, but the people inside it, the love they'd chosen, the family they'd become. Complete. Whole. Home. And as Portland settled into sleep around them, two people who'd started as strangers held each other in the quiet, grateful for second chances and brave enough to take them. The end.